Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Yes, it's Superman, strange visitor from the planet Krypton, who came to Earth with amazing physical powers far beyond those of mortal men, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, wages a never-ending battle for truth and justice. Today, Superman, in his guise of Clark Kent, makes use of his extraordinary vision at the Metropolis Airport to discover something that spells bad news for girl reporter Lois Lane.
Look, Clark, there comes the Clipper.
I see it, Lois.
My sister Diana's on that plane. I can hardly wait to see her.
Oh, I know. Uh-oh, something's wrong.
Wrong? What do you mean?
You better pull yourself together, Lois, and get set for a shock.
A fellow once told me, gang, about a crooked carnival he went to where a carnival peddler, or pitchman as they're called, was offering beautiful prizes to anyone who played his game. Now, this game consisted of 3 walnut shells and a single dried pea. For $1 a chance, he let my friend guess under which shell he hid the pea. And if my friend was right, pitchman would pay $5. Well, it looked easy. But my friend almost lost his shirt. Because although he didn't know it, the shell game is just about the oldest sucker bait in the world. You see, it's all done by sleight of hand. The pitchman never lets that dried pea out of his fingers. His shell game is strictly for suckers. Now, it should interest you to know that apart from carnivals, you'll find certain phony balonies in public life, sometimes trying a shell game of their own. We call such men demagogues, which is another word for political windbags. They offer hatred as their bait. Vote for me, they bellow. I got a good way to improve things. Throw out the foreigners, they scream. Down with this or that minority group, they shriek. Blame your troubles on the other fellow, they whine. Do you know something? Sometimes people actually fall for this spiel. Yes, the German people did under Hitler. They swallowed a lot of fancy pitchman's abracadabra, and when they woke up, they found that Hitler and his gang had swiped their shirts. But here in the USA, it's different. Most of us hate to be played for suckers. We know that demagogues who preach bigotry do not have honest prizes to offer. We know their talk's as empty as the shells in a shell game. And if we don't know, we should. How about you? Can you be taken in by the demagogue pitchman's fast talk?
And now, the adventures of Superman. Several days have gone by since cub reporter Jimmy Olsen's exciting experience with the bogus genie, from which he was rescued by Superman. Now Jimmy is away on his vacation, and neither Superman, who masquerades as Clark Kent, nor Lois Lane, the girl reporter, are aware that they are on the brink of an amazing adventure as they breakfast together in the lobby restaurant of the Daily Planet building.
How about some more coffee, Lois?
Oh, no thanks, Clark. I've had 2.
Wow, what happened then?
Oh, well, then I told the chief that if he thinks I'm going to just...
Oh, wait a minute, Lois.
What's the matter, Clark?
Beanie's looking for you.
Oh, Beanie Martin?
Uh-huh, here he comes. Seems to be in a hurry.
Miss Lane,
Yes, Beanie, what is
this
it?
cable just came for you.
Cable?
Yeah, it just arrived. I thought I'd better bring it right down because it might be important.
Oh, that was very thoughtful,
Oh, I
Beanie.
wonder who's
Thank you.
cabling me.
Why don't you open the envelope and find out?
I intend to. Oh, thanks very much, Beanie.
You're welcome. I gotta get back up to the study room. I'll be staying here.
Okay. Who's the cable from, Lois?
Well, let's see. Why, it's from Diana.
Your sister?
Yes, she and her dancing partner are on a professional tour of Europe, you know.
Oh, yes, that's right. Well, what does she have
Listen
to
to
say?
this, Clark. Arriving Metropolis Monday, August 16th, 10:30 a.m. Monday, August 16th?
That's today.
Yes. That's odd.
Why?
Because she had dancing engagements in London and Paris and Vienna and wasn't due back until Christmas.
Oh? Does she give any reason for the change in her
Let's see.
plans?
Please meet me. Has sensational story for you. Love, Diana.
Sensational story, eh? That sounds interesting.
Yes, but I still don't understand it, Clark.
Why?
Well, she's been getting rave notices from the press, and I can't believe she'd break up her tour just to bring me a story. She could cable it or write it or anything.
Yes, I suppose she could,
There's
but she
something
probably...
awfully strange about this, Clark.
Well, if there is, Diane will tell you all about it when you see her, so there's no use in your beating your brains out trying to guess.
I suppose not. Just the
Hey,
same.
wait, it's 5 after 10. You'll have to rush to be at the airport by 10:30.
Oh, dear, how can I ever
My car's outside. I'll drive you. Come on, Lois.
Look, Clark, here comes the Clipper.
Uh-huh.
I can't wait to see Diana.
Yeah, I want to see her, too, and hear the terrific story she said she... Hey, what the...
What's the matter, Clark?
Well, Diana...
Well, what about Diana?
Well, she... You better get set for a surprise, Lois.
A surprise? What are you talking about?
The Clipper's coming down. You'll find out in just a moment.
Everyone seems to be off the Clipper, but I don't see Diana. I wonder where
She wasn't on the plane, Lois.
What?
That's right.
But she cabled she was taking the Clipper.
I know, but
Here
she
comes
was...
the stewardess. I'll ask her.
Okay, suit yourself.
Oh, stewardess. Yes, miss? Are all the passengers off the plane? Why, yes, they are. Well, then where's my sister, Diana Lane? You see, she cabled me she was taking... Diana Lane? Yes, that's right. She wasn't on this flight, miss. But I don't understand.
Would you know if she canceled her reservation, stewardess?
Well, yes, I think so. Let me check my report.
Please.
I don't like this, Clark.
Oh, relax, Lois.
Yes, here it is. Miss Diana Lane did have a reservation for this flight. It was made from Paris.
Yes, that's right. She cabled me from Paris.
But she didn't appear at the airport yesterday morning, so at flight time her reservation was sold to somebody else.
She didn't appear?
That's correct.
And she sent no notice of cancellation?
No, sir.
That's strange.
I've got to make a report to the flight office now, so if you'll excuse
Oh,
me.
certainly. Thanks very much.
You're quite welcome.
Oh, Clark, now I know something must be wrong with Diana.
Now, take it easy, Lois. She was undoubtedly delayed for some very good reason.
But she would have notified me if that were so.
Okay, chances are there's another cable for you at the office right now. Come on, we'll find out.
Hey, Miss
Oh,
Lane.
Beanie.
There's somebody...
Beanie, do you know if another cable came for me?
No, Miss Lane, I didn't see any, but somebody's trying to phone you from Paris, France.
From Paris?
Probably Diana.
Oh, dear.
You're supposed to call the transatlantic phone operator as soon as you come in.
All right, Beanie, I'll do it right now.
Wait, I'll go with you.
No, Mr. White just called, Mr. Kent. He wants you to come down to City Hall right away.
City Hall.
Uh-huh. Something important happened, he said.
Oh? Well, you go ahead and make your call, Lois. I'll hop over to City Hall and be back as soon as I can. I want to know about Diana.
So do I. If only this call is from her. Yes, this is Lois Lane speaking. Will you put Paris on, please?
Hello?
Hello, Diana?
Lois?
Yes, how are you, darling?
Well,
what's happened? Why weren't you on the Clipper?
Well, the strangest things have been happening, Lois. I'm frightened.
What do you mean?
I'm afraid to talk about it.
Afraid?
On the phone, I mean.
Oh, nonsense.
Listen, Lois, could you possibly come over here right away?
You mean to Paris?
Yes. Yes, I think I'm in danger, and I
Well,
need
what danger? If you'd only tell me what you're talking about,
I
could...
can't tell you over the phone, Lois. Please join me here.
But,
If
Diana...
you took the Clipper today, you could be here tomorrow.
I know, honey, but I have to get time off, and I can't...
Do it, please, do it. I'm terribly frightened, Lois, and I'm all alone. Please say you'll come.
Well... Oh, all right, Diana.
Wonderful.
Wait a minute. What's your address in Paris?
It's 13 Rue Saint-Germain.
13 Rue Saint-Germain.
Yes, it's a small pension.
Yes?
Oh, Lois, don't fail me. I don't know what to do.
Just sit tight, darling. I'll wangle the reservation on the Clipper somehow, and I'll be with you tomorrow. Now, don't do a thing until I get there.
Puzzled and deeply concerned, reporter Lois Lane prepares to leave for Paris. What's going on there? We'll know more in a moment when we return with the startling climax of today's episode. So keep listening.
Let's pretend you're walking down the street, gang, and you have a dime in your pocket. Now, you can't decide whether to spend it on an ice cream cone or a candy bar. But it's a cinch that whatever you buy, you'll want your money's worth. Okay, keep on pretending, gang. All of a sudden, a shifty-eyed looking guy sidles up to you and whispers, "Hey, buddy, I got a genuine dime in here, and I'll sell it to you for one thin dime." Imagine, a real diamond for only a dime. But do you fall for it? No, you most certainly do not. Chances are you'd tell that sucker, because you know and I know that nobody's offering genuine diamond rings for only 10 cents. And yet, gang, you'd be amazed at the swindles some silly people will fall for. Phony ideas, dangerous ideas, dressed up to look like the McCoy. Nonsense about how a man's ancestry or race or religion makes him a better American than the next guy. Honestly, it's amazing how such fairy tale statements have a kind of cheap glitter for certain weak-minded, conceited people. It's hard to believe how a lie all dolled up can look like the truth to them. You know what I call falsehoods about persons of another race or religion? Swindlers' talk. Why? Because those who spread such talk are trying to make suckers out of the rest of us for their own personal gain. That's right. They're deliberately trying to hoodwink us into buying their worthless ideas because it serves their low purposes. Now, me, when I buy something, I like to get my money's worth. No gyp artist is going to palm off a phony idea on me, at least not while I'm conscious. And that should go for you, too, gang. Remember, all that glitters is not gold. Don't be a sucker for a smooth line.
And now, back to the adventures of Superman. Concerned about her sister Diana, Lois Lane flew by Clipper to Lisbon, Portugal, and from there by another plane to Paris. As we join her now, she is at 13 Rue Saint-Germain, the address given her by Diana, where an elderly porter concierge of the rooming house leads her up two dimly lit flights of stairs.
Forgive me, mademoiselle. These stairs are for an old man difficult.
Yes, of course. Tell me, where is my sister's room?
It is the front suite. Come, I will escort you.
Thank you. You're sure she's at home?
Ah, oui. The outer door is locked after 10 o'clock, and it is necessary to awaken me, as you know, if one wishes to leave or enter the house. This your sister has not done.
I see.
Ah, here is her suite. I will knock.
You must be asleep. Knock again, please, will you?
Oui. She sleeps soundly, that one.
Funny, she never used to. She'd wake up at the least noise. Maybe if I rattled the doorknob a little... Why, the door's unlocked.
Oui. And the mademoiselle neglected to turn off the light.
Good heavens! What's happened here?
What is this? All the furniture overturned, the lamps broken.
Well, there must have been a fight or something. Quickly, where's the bedroom?
Right here, mademoiselle. This door. The lights still burn here, too.
Diana! Diana, where are you?
She is not here, mademoiselle. There is no one here.
Good heavens, where is she? What's happened to her?
Her face pale, Lois Lane stares from the empty bedroom to the deserted sitting room, where the overturned chairs and heaped-up rugs give mute evidence of a violent struggle. What has happened to Lois's only sister? What was the sensational story she had to tell? And of what was she afraid? This is the beginning of a new and exciting Superman adventure, fellows and girls, that's chock full of thrills and baffling mystery. You won't want to miss a single episode, so be sure to tune in tomorrow, same time, same station, for Chapter 2 of The Mystery of the Letter on The Adventures of Superman.
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC Comics magazine and is brought to you Monday through Friday at this same time. Watch for the Superman Adventure serial soon to be shown at your local movie theater. This program came from New York. Stay tuned to your mutual station for Adventure Parade, which follows in just a moment. And right after Adventure Parade, you'll hear Tom Mix and his Straight Shooters. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound.
Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman. Yes, it's Superman, strange visitor from the planet Krypton, who came to Earth with amazing physical powers far beyond those of mortal men, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, wages a never-ending battle for truth and justice. Today at the Daily Planet, a switchboard operator gives Clark Kent a message which sends him leaping into action as Superman.
Miss Lane phoned while you were out, Mr. Kent, from Paris.
From Paris?
Yeah, she sent for me to tell you something terrible has happened.
What?
Yeah, she said she's at, let's see now. Oh, yeah, 13 Rue Saint-Germain.
13 Rue Saint-Germain?
That's right, you're to contact her there. She sounds awfully upset. I never heard her like that before.
Okay, I'll take care of it. Thanks very much.
I'm afraid this is a job for Superman. Better get over there fast. There we are. All set. Now, up, and away!
Say, gang, have you ever heard of the romance of philately? Yes, P-H-I-L-A-T-E-L-Y, philately. Now, for those of you who are not yet philatelists, that's a fancy word that simply means stamp collecting. It comes from two Greek words meaning fond of not having to pay tax. Isn't that something? Of course, that fits most people. But it's used for stamp collectors because stamps are a form of tax. There's exciting romance and adventure in philately that comes from the many stories connected with this hobby. Yes, there are yarns of great men, of wars and bloodshed, of man's struggle for freedom, all tied up in the stories of stamps. One simple story is about a man who asked his postmaster for a sheet of 24-cent airmail stamps. Well, after buying them, he noticed that the picture of the airplane on the center of the stamp was upside down. Well, the issue was withdrawn, and the lucky man who discovered the error sold his stamps for $15,000. Now they're worth at least $40,000. That's right, $40,000 for one sheet of stamps that originally cost only a few dollars. Now, to show you how each stamp has a story behind it, let's take a new stamp the United States has just recently issued. It's in memory of William Allen White, a famous newspaper man whose ideas and ideals were typical of the American way of life, and whose newspaper waged war against corruption. For that, he is honored by a stamp bearing his likeness. So you see, there really is romance in philately if you just look for it, and I suggest you do.
And now, the adventures of Superman. When Lois Lane's sister Diana telephoned from Paris, France, and said she was in great danger and flew to Paris. But when she arrived at the little rooming house where Diana, a professional dancer, was staying, she found the furniture overturned and evidence of and Diana was mysteriously missing. Lois called the police and then put through a transatlantic phone call for Clark Kent in Metropolis, who, resuming his true identity of Superman, rocketed across the ocean to Paris. And now, once more, in his guise of the mild-mannered, bespectacled reporter, Kent knocks at Diana's door.
Hello, Lois.
Why, Clark.
Surprised?
Wait, it can't be you.
Of course it is. May I come in?
But I spoke to the Daily Planet only a few minutes ago. You couldn't have come all the way here from Metropolis in a few minutes. You just couldn't.
Well, you see, Lois, you left Metropolis yesterday, you know.
I know,
and you left word you were flying to Paris.
Oh, you mean you got on another plane yesterday and followed me here?
Well, what difference does it make how I got here? I'm here. Now, please tell me what's going on.
Oh, Clark, I'm terribly worried.
Why? Great Scott, what happened to this place?
Yes, this is just the way I found it, Clark. The furniture overturned and Diana gone.
Gone? Where?
I don't know where, but I'm sure something terrible must have happened to her.
Wait a minute. You don't know.
She told me she was in great danger, and when I got
here... She did?
When?
When?
Yesterday morning when she phoned me. She said strange things were happening that she didn't understand, and she was in danger. She begged me to come to Paris, but when I arrived a little while ago,
You and Diana gone?
Yes. Oh, Clark, what'll I do?
Well, now, wait. The first thing to do is pull yourself together.
Well, that's easy to say.
Wait a minute. There are two men in the next room. Who are they?
One is Captain Duloc from the police department, and the other is Jean the concierge, the superintendent of the house.
Oh, I see.
Mademoiselle Lane, I wish to ask you, who is this man?
Oh, this is Clark Kent, Captain. He's a reporter on the Metropolis Daily Planet, too.
Ah, a pleasure, monsieur.
Look, Captain, have you found out anything about my sister?
No. I have not yet found out what happened to her, mademoiselle.
Oh, dear.
But the concierge here tells me that your sister had a visitor this evening.
Oh, oui, a young man.
A young man with whom your sister quarreled very bitterly.
Really? Well, what?
It is a good thing my other tenants were not at home, or I would have had complaints.
What did they quarrel about, do you know?
No, monsieur, I do not know. They spoke so swiftly and in English, and I was downstairs.
Oh.
But the young man was in a great rage. That I can tell you.
Good heavens, why
Do you know who this man was?
No, monsieur, I have never seen him before.
What did he look like?
I saw him for a moment only, mon capitaine. It was when he arrived. Tall, handsome, that is all I remember.
Well, was he dark or light?
Let me think. His hair was the color of ripe wheat. That was wavy.
Ah.
Tall, handsome, light, wavy hair, and he spoke English, you say?
Oui, monsieur. Like an American, he spoke.
Uh-huh. Well, that description mean anything to you, Lois?
No. Wait a minute.
What?
Yes. Yes, it does, Clark. It sounds like Raymond.
Oh, mademoiselle.
Raymond. I forget his last name. He's Diana's dancing partner. They call themselves Diana and Raymond.
Oh, I see.
I only met him once, and I can't say I liked him very much. He seemed, well, sort of moody and sullen.
Oh?
But I'm sure he wouldn't hurt Diana. After all, they were partners. And besides, I think he was in love with her.
Aha. A lover's quarrel.
No. Diana wasn't in love with him.
Say, there must be billboard pictures of them or newspaper photographs.
Oh, of course.
Look, Captain Duloc, if Jean here saw a photograph of Raymond, maybe he could identify him as the young man who...
An excellent idea, Monsieur Kent. We will all proceed to a newspaper office at once. Allons. This is Le Matin of last Sunday.
There, look.
Voilà. A photograph of Diana and Raymond. Behold, Jean. Is this the man who called on Mademoiselle Diana this evening?
Oui, he is the one, mon capitaine.
Ah.
Oh, we're getting someplace.
But I tell you, Clark, I don't think Raymond had anything to do with whatever happened to Diana.
You can't be sure, Lois.
But look.
Mademoiselle, you will please return to your sister's apartment with Jean. Monsieur Kent, you and I will proceed to look for Facteur de Gendarme.
Good.
In a short time, I promise you we will locate this Monsieur Raymond. And undoubtedly, Mademoiselle Diana, too.
Fine, Captain. Let's go. Well, Captain Duloc, what have you learned?
I have learned, Monsieur Kent, that Raymond departed from his hotel but 1 hour ago with his luggage.
Checked out, eh?
Oui.
Anyone know where he went?
He took a taxicab to the airport.
The airport?
Oui. He undoubtedly flees.
Well, come on, then. Let's get down there and stop him.
I am sorry, Captain Duloc, but the plane bearing this Monsieur Raymond departed 3/4 of an hour ago.
You are certain?
Oh, oui. It was a chartered plane which was awaiting him.
A chartered plane?
Oui, monsieur.
Was he alone?
No, monsieur. A young lady accompanied him, a very beautiful young lady.
What?
He says Monsieur Raymond was accompanied by a...
Yes, I know what he said. Look, this young lady, can you describe her?
Ah, oui. Slender she was. Not too tall, dark hair.
That could be Diana.
Undoubtedly it was Miss Lane. So now our case comes to an end, eh?
What do you mean?
It is as I said before. Mademoiselle Diana and Monsieur Raymond loved each other. They had a quarrel. But now they compose their défenseurs and fly away together. Ah. L'amour.
No. You're wrong, Captain Duloc. First, Diana was not in love with Raymond. Second, she knew her sister Lois was on the way to Paris.
But, monsieur...
So she would not have left before Lois arrived. Not willingly, that is.
But l'amour, monsieur. When one is caught by Cupid...
Oh, nonsense. Diana told Lois she was in great danger. And the condition of her apartment bears her out.
Oui, that is true, monsieur, but...
If Diana did leave in that plane with Raymond, something is very wrong. And if it isn't Diana, well, Raymond may know what happened to her. So I'm going after that plane.
After the plane? How can you do that?
Well, I have ways. Tell me, monsieur, you know where Raymond's plane was bound?
The clearance paper said for Madrid.
Madrid? Okay, thanks. I'll see you later, Captain Dulac.
But where do you go, monsieur? Monsieur, listen to me.
Behind this hangar here. Raymond's plane left about an hour ago. If he is headed for Madrid, it won't take long for Superman to catch up with him. There we are. I'm all set. Up, and away!
Leaping up from the Paris airport, Superman takes a quick bearing from the stars and rockets away to the south in pursuit of Raymond's plane. We'll be back in a moment for the startling climax of today's episode. So keep listening.
Say, gang, have you ever tried collecting stamps? It's really a swell hobby. Now, one of the best ways I know of collecting is topically. That is, all stamps are about one subject. For example, try a collection of sports stamps. The United States has issued one honoring the game of baseball, and 3 for the Olympic Games held here in 1932. One has a runner getting ready to start. One has a discus thrower, and the third pictures a skier. Several foreign countries have put out a lot more sports stamps than we have, particularly Russia and Germany. So try to get those. Or you might prefer to save animal stamps. And then there are dozens of other classifications that are swell fun, such as flags, ships, kings and queens. Yes, and even mustaches. Another way of collecting is to select a certain type of stamp. For example, try airmails. They are often very good-looking, and they might even help you in plane identification. Of course, sometimes airmails can lead you astray. You remember the airmail stamps we used before the new ones came out last year? They had a plane on them, but it was a completely imaginary aircraft. No United States plane ever existed with that design, but that's rare. Now, I'd like to let you in on the secret of having a really good collection. It's not to spend a lot of money. The trick is to make the stamps you have look attractive, neat, and above all, interesting. Take your time about arranging the stamps in your collection. With that in mind, gang, go to it. Join the ranks of the millions upon millions of stamp collectors all over the world. You'll find it great fun.
And now, back to the adventures of Superman. While Superman was pursuing Raymond, Lois Lane, exhausted and worried, had fallen asleep in a chair in the missing Diana's sitting room. A slight noise at the door causes her to twitch restlessly, but she does not awaken, nor does she stir when the door opens softly and then closes. But suddenly, a moment later, a closer sound, or perhaps a sixth sense, causes the girl reporter to open her eyes, and then she sits bolt upright, a scream choking in her throat. A man, his coat collar turned up, a mask covering his face, crouches but a foot away. In his hand, he holds a revolver, which he points at Lois. And as Lois opens her mouth to yell, the man speaks.
Do not make a sound, mademoiselle, or you will die.
Stifling the scream on her lips, the girl reporter sits as if frozen, watching the masked man approach. Who is this man? What is this strange mystery which caused Diana to summon her sister to Paris, and then apparently resulted in the strange disappearance of the young dancer? Is she in the plane which Superman is even now pursuing? Fellows and girls, the mystery and the danger grow even deeper tomorrow. So be sure to listen. Be sure to tune in tomorrow, same time, same station, for Chapter 3 of The Secret of the Letter on The Adventures of Superman.
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC Comics magazine and is brought to you Monday through Friday at the same time. Watch for the Superman Adventure serial soon to be shown at your local movie theater. This program came from New York. Stay tuned to your mutual station for Adventure Parade, which follows in just a moment. And right after Adventure Parade, you will hear Tom Mix and his Straight Shooters. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
It's Superman, strange visitor from the planet Krypton, who came to Earth with amazing physical powers far beyond those of mortal men, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, wages a never-ending battle for truth and justice. Today, while Superman is searching for Lois Lane's missing sister Diana, the girl reporter, completely exhausted, has fallen asleep while seated in the living room of her sister's apartment. A slight noise at the door causes her to twitch restlessly, but she doesn't awaken, nor does she stir when the door opens softly and then closes. But suddenly, a moment later, a closer sound, or perhaps instinct, causes Lois to open her eyes. Then she bolts upright, a scream choking in her throat. For a man, his coat collar turned up and a mask covering his face, crouches but a foot away. And in his hand he holds a revolver pointed at her heart. Before the girl reporter can gather herself to scream, the man speaks.
Do not make a sound, mademoiselle, or you will die.
Well, gang, our vacation won't last much longer, so I hope you're enjoying it to the fullest, for vacation times are good times. But unfortunately, they don't mean the same to all boys and girls, even here in the United States. I'm thinking particularly of thousands of children, sons and daughters of migrant farm workers who travel to different sections of the country to help harvest the crops. And since they are constantly on the move, they don't have much opportunity to join in community life and sports and fun. But there are some fine young people who are doing something about that situation. Yes, this summer, under the auspices of the Home Missions Council, some 200 college boys and girls are spending their own vacations in the encampments of migrant workers, organizing all kinds of activities for these thousands of boys and girls. But for the precious summer vacations which they are giving up, these 200 college students will be well rewarded in the satisfaction that comes only with the knowledge that you have been of help to your fellow man. Now, naturally, we can't all gain that same satisfaction that comes from helping these boys and girls, but we can do so by helping others. And you can do that by insisting on fair play for everybody in everything you do, in every game you play. You can help others by practicing and speaking up for sportsmanship. Pick your playmates and your teammates on the basis of their own good qualities and not because of their religion or race or the amount of money their fathers may have in the bank. Just remember that every time you help somebody else, you're helping to build a better town and a better country, and a better world for all of us to live in.
And now, the adventures of Superman. When Lois Lane's sister Diana, a professional dancer, disappeared mysteriously from her apartment in Paris, Clark Kent, who, unknown to all, is Superman, streaked to Paris to aid Lois in the search for her sister. Learning that Diana had quarreled bitterly that night with Raymond, her dancing partner, and that Raymond had then left for Madrid in a chartered plane, Superman took to the air in pursuit. Meanwhile, in Diana's apartment, Lois awoke suddenly to find herself menaced by a masked man with a gun. And before she could overcome the temporary paralysis of shock to cry out for help, the man pointed his gun at her heart and said,
Do not make a sound, mademoiselle, or you will die.
Now, unaware of Lois's peril, Superman is streaking through the night skies in pursuit of Raymond's plane. Suddenly, as he rockets above the Pyrenees Mountains that are the border between France and Spain, he sights a two-motored transport plane.
That's the plane I want. Down to it. Down!
Flashing down to the speeding plane, Superman wrenches open the passenger's door and leaps inside. Except for the pilot and co-pilot, who are in the cockpit behind a closed door, only two persons are in the plane. A tall, light-haired young man and a dark-haired young woman, each asleep in their seats on opposite sides of the aisle. After a glance at the girl, Superman taps the young man on the shoulder.
Wake up, Raymond.
What?
Wake up. I want to talk to you.
Hey, great snakes. Who are you?
Superman.
Superman?
That's right.
Whoa, where'd you come from? How'd you get here?
I came from Paris to see you.
Are you really Superman, or am I dreaming?
You're not dreaming. I thought Diana Lane might be on this plane with you, but that girl across the aisle is not she, so you tell me. Where is Diana?
Diana? Why, she's in Paris.
Where in Paris?
Why, in her apartment, I guess.
No, she isn't.
Now, look, what's this all about?
Diana has disappeared.
Disappeared?
That's right. What do you know about it?
I don't know anything. How could I?
You called on her early this evening, didn't you?
Why, yes.
And you quarreled with her? You threatened her?
Yes, I mean no.
Don't lie. You were overheard.
Well, if I did, it didn't mean anything. I was pretty sore.
Why were you angry with her?
Because, well, she broke up our tour. We were a dance team, you know.
Yes, I
We
know.
got started during the war, entertaining the troops. And this last year, we were going great guns. Got terrific notices wherever we played. Then we were booked all over the continent.
I know all that. Get to the point, please.
Well, we just finished a very successful engagement in Paris at the Cafe Can-Can, and we're set with a swell booking in Madrid, when suddenly, out of a blue sky, Diana told me the tour was off.
Did she say why?
Only that she was going back home.
I see. So you quarreled.
Well, naturally, I hit the ceiling. We'd worked like dogs to get where we were, and now she was throwing it all away.
Are you sure she gave no other reason for calling off the tour?
Well, now that you mention it, I do recall her giving me some silly stuff about being in danger, but
In danger? Personally?
Yes, I didn't believe her, though. I thought...
Just a moment. What sort of danger did she say she was in? From whom?
Well, she said she didn't know, except it had something to do with that letter.
What letter?
Oh, some crazy letter she got hold of. Somehow, I don't know exactly. It was in French. Neither of us could read it, but Diana was curious. A few days later, she told me that when she tried to get somebody to translate it for her, she got into trouble.
That's odd.
Oh, it does sound goofy, doesn't it?
Yes, it certainly does.
Frankly, I didn't believe her. Even when she told me she'd got a couple of threatening phone calls.
Why didn't you believe her?
Well, I thought she was just making up a story as an excuse to break up our dance tour.
Oh?
Yeah, you see, she'd met an American millionaire in London who was crazy about her, so I thought she wanted to go back home and marry him.
I see. So
that's why we quarreled. Mm-hmm. I told her she was letting me down, and then I left. But I don't know a thing about her disappearance, so help me, I don't.
Well, if that's true, why did you charter this plane and run away?
I didn't run away. The act was booked for Madrid and a lot of other places, and I didn't want to lose the booking. So I hired Yvette. That's the girl sleeping across the aisle.
I see.
She's a good dancer and looks something like Diana. I'm hoping I can keep the act going with her.
Well, look, about that letter you mentioned, it sounds pretty fishy, but I'd like to know more. Do you know where it is?
Well, I suppose Diana has it. Wait. Maybe it's still in the picture.
Picture? What picture?
Well, Diana always kept her money and valuables in a folding picture frame. You know, one of those double pictures that stand on a dresser.
Uh-huh.
She had photographs of her sister Lois and herself in the frames, and there was a false back behind it.
And she kept this letter in the false back?
That's right. I remember her getting it to show me.
Then it might still be in her apartment. All right, come on, Raymond.
Where?
You and I are going back to Paris. If you're telling the truth, this letter might be a lead to Diana. If not, well, we can be in Paris in a few minutes.
A few minutes? We're almost in Madrid.
That's right, but we're going back via Superman Express. Now, wake up Yvette and tell her you'll join her in Madrid later. If you've told me the truth. Hurry.
Oh, hey, what a trip that was, Superman.
Here's Diana's rooming house, Raymond. Come on inside.
Okay.
Now, we'll go right up to Diana's apartment. Lois should be there, and we can... Great Scott, what's this?
Somebody's lying on the floor.
Yes. It's old Jean, the concierge.
She's unconscious.
Yes, he was struck on the head. What in the world has happened here now?
Kneeling by the elderly caretaker who lies unconscious in the hall, Superman is not yet aware of a further startling development which is in store for him. We'll be back in a moment to find out what it is, so keep listening.
At one time or another, gang, I guess you've all come up against the wiseacre who goes around bragging that he's different and better than someone else because he was born into a certain religion or in a different side of the railroad track. Well, there's only one answer to that, gang. Tell him he's not so different. And he ought to be mighty glad of it. Remind him of the fix he'd be in if he were really as special as he thinks he is. Why, if he wasn't like everyone else, every time he got sick, he'd need a whole regiment of doctors with X-ray machines and fluoroscopes and whatnot to figure out where his liver might be in his heart and just how he's arranged inside. Well, luckily for us, gang, we're really all brothers under the skin. We have exactly the same number of bones and organs and teeth, all arranged the same way no matter what our race or nationality. Now, sometime soon, the Red Cross may come into your community with a new blood donor drive. This is a civilian counterpart of the work the Red Cross did during the war, in which they collected and processed millions of pints of blood that were shipped overseas to be used in healing our soldiers and sailors. This collection of blood plasma, so necessary to save our lives, is possible only because all human blood is the same, except for this one medically important difference, that there are 4 types of blood called O, A, B, and AB. But all races of man have all of these blood types. So you see, gang, we're all much more alike than we are different. So next time some wise guy claims otherwise, tell him it's all right with you if he wants to vote himself out of the human race, but he's liable to be awfully lonesome.
And now, back to the adventures of Superman. Returning to the missing Diana's Paris apartment with Raymond, Diana's dancing partner, Superman discovered Jean, the elderly caretaker, unconscious in the front hall. And now he is trying to revive the old man.
Great Scott, look at that lump on his head.
Yeah, he was struck very hard, Superman.
Certainly what? Uh-oh, he's starting to come to. Here, let me have that glass of water, Raymond.
Here you are.
Thanks. All right, now drink some of this, old fellow. Easy does it.
Wonder what happened here.
We'll find out in a moment. Take it easy. There we are. Feeling a little better now, old-timer?
What? Oh, where is he?
Who? Easy now. Wait a minute. Don't try to get up yet.
But...
Now, just take it easy. Now, what happened? Who struck you?
A man. I do not know him. He wore a mask on his face.
A burglar, eh?
Hélas, I have forgotten. Vite, summon les gendarmes. Oh, la pauvre mademoiselle.
What? What poor girl? Whom are you talking about, Jean?
Oh, Mademoiselle Lane.
Which one?
Mademoiselle Diana's sister.
Lois? What about her?
Les gendarmes, summon les gendarmes.
What about Lois Lane? Tell me. I see she isn't in Diana's apartment, but what happened to her?
The man in the mask. He carried her away.
What? He carried Lois away?
I tried to stop him, but he struck me on the head with a gun and then...
Great snitch.
Oh, no. First Diana disappears. Now Lois is gone.
Say, what goes on here anyway?
First, Diana, and now her sister Lois Lane have disappeared from the little boarding house in Paris. What has happened to the dancer and the girl reporter? What is the mysterious letter of which Raymond told Superman? The letter which Diana had said placed her in great danger. Is it upstairs in Diana's apartment? And will it lead Superman to the other 2 missing sisters? We'll find out in tomorrow's exciting episode, so be sure to listen. Tune in, same time, same station, for Chapter 4 of The Mystery of the Letter on The Adventures of Superman.
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC Comics magazine and is brought to you Monday through Friday at the same time. Watch for the Superman Adventure serial, soon to be shown at your local movie theater. This program came from New York. Stay tuned to your mutual station for Adventure Parade, which follows in just a moment. And right after Adventure Parade, you will hear Tom Mix and his straight shooters. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
It's Superman, strange visitor from the planet Krypton, who came to Earth with amazing physical powers far beyond those of mortal men, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, wages a never-ending battle for truth and justice. Today, in a little apartment house in Paris, Superman receives alarming news from the elderly caretaker.
Oh, the poor mademoiselle, the poor mademoiselle.
What poor girl are you talking about?
She of the American newspaper.
You mean Lois Lane?
Oui, that is the one.
Well, what happened to her?
Oh, it is dreadful, monsieur. A man wearing a mask over his face carried her away.
Carried her away?
Oui, and when I tried to stop him, he struck me on the head with his gun.
What?
Now, heaven only knows what has happened to the poor mademoiselle.
Gang, have you ever watched as sailing skippers race their swift, sleek boats across the windy water? Well, take it from me, gang. There are mighty few things more thrilling or beautiful to watch than tall white sails winging in front of a stiff breeze. Now, let me tell you a few things about sailing, which is a complicated and scientific art. For one thing, as you know, the only way a sailboat can move is if the wind pushes it. And should the sailboat by some mistake go directly into the wind, then it will be pushed backwards. Well, to avoid this, a smart skipper zigzags his boat back and forth until he can get it into a spot where the wind is on his side. Well, this zigzagging is called tacking, and it's a vital part of sailing. Now then, after the skipper and his crew have finished tacking one lap of the race, they have to make a very sharp turn to go off to another direction. This sharp turn is called coming about, and it's the most difficult part of the race because here's where you can lose your speed and the race. With precision timing, the crew, working together as a perfect team, must shift the big sails from one side to another while the skipper steers. Yes, gang, teamwork is the formula for winning all victories. That's how our nation won its great victory in 1776, when we gained our independence. That's how we won world leadership and greatness down through the years, by teamwork. Yes, real teamwork in which Americans of every race and religion work together to achieve victories that could never have been won by individuals. Don't ever forget that. Americans are the ones who did it. And now, the adventures of Superman.
Arriving in Paris in response to an urgent summons from her sister Diana, who is a professional dancer, Lois Lane, reporter for the Metropolis Daily Planet, learned that her sister had mysteriously disappeared from her apartment. Later that same night, while Clark Kent, who unknown to all is Superman, was in pursuit of a young man named Raymond, who was Diana's dancing partner, Lois was accosted by a masked gunman. And when Superman returned with Raymond to the little boarding house where Diana had lived, he found Lois gone. And in the downstairs hall, Jean, the elderly caretaker, was unconscious from a blow on the head. Working swiftly, Superman revived the old man, who, on regaining consciousness, began wailing,
"Oh, the poor mademoiselle. Oh, the poor mademoiselle."
Miss Lane, what happened to her?
A man wearing a mask over his face, he carried Mademoiselle Lois Lane away.
Carried her away?
Oui, when I tried to stop him, he struck me on the head with a gun.
What?
Oh,
Great snakes. First Diana disappears and now Lois. What's going on here?
Raymond, just a moment. Listen, John, how long ago did this happen?
I do not know, Monsieur Superman. I have been unconscious. I know not how long.
But you must have some idea what time it was when you saw the man take Miss Lane away.
Let me think. I had been awakened just before. I had met Monsieur Marin, the tenant, on the second floor. It was only a few minutes later when I heard the sound at the door and saw the masked man carrying Mademoiselle Lois.
Yes. What time did you admit, Monsieur Marin?
That I remember.
Good.
The clock in the church tower was striking 2.
2 a.m. What time is it now, Raymond?
5 minutes past 3.
Oh, they've got over an hour's start, and I have no idea where to look for them.
But why should anyone take Lois away?
I don't know, unless...
Unless what, Superman?
Well, unless it has something to do with her sister Diana's disappearance.
Why should that...
I don't know why. Wait, Raymond. That letter.
Huh?
That French letter Diana showed you, the one she said put her in danger.
Oh, yeah.
You said she kept it in a false back behind a picture frame.
That's right.
That letter might give us a clue to what has happened to the girls.
Could be.
John, you better telephone Captain Dulac of the police department right away. Tell him to come here as fast as he can.
Oui, monsieur.
But Superman...
Come on, Raymond. You and I are going upstairs to Diana's apartment. And you'd better pray that letter is still there.
Here's the picture I mean, Superman. There's a false back in the frame.
Yes, I see, but we're too late, Raymond.
What do you mean, too late?
The letter is gone.
Well, how do you know?
Never mind. Look for yourself.
What? You're right. It is empty.
Yes. Either Diana took the letter with her, or somebody else did.
But who else would?
Whoever took Diana and Lois away. Oh, I was hoping the letter would give me the clue I need. Now we're right back where we started.
Hey, wait, Superman. I don't think the letter was important.
What? Well, it must be. Otherwise, why would Diana have said she was in great danger because of it?
Well, I don't know how that's possible. She told me somebody handed it to her in a restaurant.
You know who it was?
A man whom Diana had never seen before.
Oh.
Now, you know nobody would give an important letter to a perfect stranger.
Well, I'm not so sure. Odder things have happened. Look, Raymond, Diana showed you the letter. Have you any idea what it said?
No, I told you it was in French, and neither of us can read French.
Oh, yes, that's right. Well, was it written on a printed letterhead?
No.
Well, can you remember anything about it? Anything at all? To whom it was addressed, or the signature?
No, I didn't pay any attention to it.
Oh.
As I told you, I thought Diana was just making up some story as an excuse to break up our dance tour. I was curious.
Monsieur.
Yes, Jean.
Captain Dulac, say proceed here at once.
Good.
Also, monsieur, I have just had a conversation with Monsieur Marin.
Oh?
He's the tenant on the floor below. And he say he heard noise at the door tonight and look out from his window.
Yes?
He saw a man place a large burden in a car. And he think it might very well have been Mademoiselle Lane.
Uh-oh.
Then he saw the car drive off.
All right, wait a minute. Did Marin notice what sort of car it was?
Oui, a small Fiat, he say, a sedan.
Good for you and Monsieur Marin, Jean. Look, Raymond, you wait here for Captain Dulac. I'll have a look for that car.
Yes, but...
And I suggest you don't try to get away again, Raymond. You're not out of the woods yet, you know.
I'm perfectly innocent.
Maybe. But I'm warning you, stay right here until I get back. Up with this window. I'll see you both later. Up, and away!
Leaping from a window of the little boarding house, Superman streaks through the dark skies, his keen eyes searching below for the car in which Lois Lane was carried away. Meanwhile, in a dusty, closely shuttered room, dimly lit by 2 flickering candles, and furnished with a few pieces of faded plush furniture, Lois sits, a prisoner. A wiry man wearing a greasy cap and a mask over his face holds her arm. A tall, broad-shouldered man, likewise masked, but with a large leonine head of iron gray hair, stands before them.
Now listen to me, mademoiselle.
You listen to me, whoever you are. What's the meaning of this outrage, of bringing me here against my will? I'm an American citizen, and I demand...
I suggest you be quiet. Listen to me, mademoiselle.
I will not be quiet. I demand to know why I'm brought here against my... Oh, stop it. You're breaking my arm.
You were ordered to be quiet. Do as you are told, and you will not be harmed.
You brute. You pay for this.
Believe me, mademoiselle, I regret this discourtesy to a lady.
Oh, yes.
But much is at stake. And it will of a necessity go much harder with you unless you tell me the truth.
The truth about what? I don't know what
a
you're
certain
talking
letter,
about.
a very important letter, fell accidentally to the hand of your sister. What do you know of it?
I don't know anything of it. I told this man that. Now you'd better
You're
let
certain you do not know where the letter is?
I told you I never even heard of this letter. Now what is this all about? Who are you?
Chuck,
Monsieur?
You searched mademoiselle's luggage.
Oui, and I also searched every inch of Mademoiselle Diana's apartment once more, as you directed. I am certain that which you seek is not there.
Will you please tell
And
me
only
what...
one thing remains to be done. Bring Mademoiselle Diana here.
Oui, monsieur.
Diana?
I will do so.
You mean Diana's here?
Oui, she is.
Oh,
Come with me, mademoiselle.
Diana. Lois. Diana, darling, are you all right?
Lois,
How did you
how on
get
earth did
here?
you get
Silence.
here?
What happened to you?
Silence, I said! Mademoiselle Diana, you are very fond of your sister, are you not?
Of course I am. She and I are all that's left of our family. And you'd better let her go.
You would not like to see her die, eh?
Duh. Oh, now listen, you're
Unless you tell me where is the letter, Mademoiselle Diana, I
But
will...
I told you, I lost...
I do not believe you, Mademoiselle.
It's true.
I think you hid it. Or gave it to someone.
No, I didn't, honestly. I tell you,
Wait
I
a
never...
minute, Diana. What is this letter he's talking about?
Well,
Hear
it's
me,
something
Mademoiselle
that I-
Diana. Unless you tell me at once what I wish to know, you will see your sister die.
Oh, no.
And then you will die too. Now, I give you just 1 minute to decide the fate of your sister and yourself.
Gang, did you ever come home kind of hungry for sweets and dig into a big jar of real honey? Well, if you never tried that, you have a real treat in store. For honey is not only good, it's good for you. You know, we get our honey from the bees, who get it from the flowers. But I bet you'd never guess which blossoms give the best honey. Well, let me tell you. Most of the honey that you and I eat comes from the alfalfa or clover blossom. But there are lots of other kinds, too. There's magnolia and orange blossom honey that comes from the south. But the sweetest tasting honey of all comes from the heather-like blooms of the sourwood tree. Now, who would think that From something like that, the sourwood tree, you could get such sweetness. But let me tell you, the bee knows better. Thank goodness the bee doesn't know one name from another, else 9 chances out of 10, he would have skipped the sourwood tree right by. But he's too smart for that. All he looks for is quality, and never minds anything else. Now, let's take a tip from the bee, because we know it's silly to judge a tree, or a person for that matter, by a name. Too often, folks don't know any better, and they size up a fellow incorrectly, not by the quality of his individual merits, but by unimportant things like his name, or his race, or his religious background. Well, don't you be taken in by that kind of business. Remember, you'll never know that the sourwood tree is sweet unless you taste the honey the bee extracts from it. And you'll never know a fellow is good or a fellow is bad unless you get to know his character. That's as important to you as it is to the other fellow. So always keep that in mind.
And now, back to the adventures of Superman. A mysterious masked man who holds both Lois Lane and her sister Diana prisoners has given Diana just 1 minute to reveal the whereabouts of a certain letter. If she refuses, the masked man threatens both she and Lois will die. Now, in the dusty, candlelit room, the masked, gray-haired man has motioned Jock, his henchman, aside, permitting Lois and Diana to speak together in low tones.
What is this letter he's talking about, Diana?
Oh, I can't tell you now, Lois.
Well, do you know where it is?
Yes.
Well, then tell him, honey, for heaven's sake, tell him.
But I can't, Lois. I can't.
Well, why not, Diana? He said he'd finish us both if you didn't, and I think he means it.
So do I. But he'll finish us if I do tell him, too.
Oh, no.
Yes. I heard...
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Yes, it's Superman, strange visitor from the planet Krypton, who came to Earth with amazing physical powers far beyond those of mortal men, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, wages a never-ending battle for truth and justice. Today, while Superman searches for them, Lois Lane and her sister Diana are the prisoners of a mysterious masked man who has given them just 60 seconds to make a fateful decision.
Oh, Lois, what'll I do? If I tell him where the letter is, he'll get rid of us as soon as he gets it.
But if you don't tell him, he'll finish us right now.
I know. What'll I do?
I don't know, Diana. It looks as if either way we're done for.
Finished.
Gang, ever hear of a boat called the Titanic? Well, it was once very famous, and every school kid knew that the Titanic was the biggest, fastest passenger liner in the world. So big that she carried more than 2,000 persons on her maiden voyage across the Atlantic 36 years ago. But she never completed that first voyage. For at 2 a.m. one morning, the Titanic's lookout frantically shouted, "Floating object dead ahead." Then there was a crash, and in a matter of minutes, the world's biggest liner sank to the bottom. Over 1,000 lives were lost in that sinking. Do you know what sank the Titanic? An iceberg, that's right. She'd struck a huge floating mountain of ice, and it crushed her like a toy boat in a bathtub. Now, you wouldn't think an iceberg could be so dangerous. But they are, because the biggest part of them isn't visible. Actually, 4/5 of an iceberg floats beneath the surface. Well, gang, that demonstrates that hidden dangers are often the trickiest, most deceptive kind, because we can't see their true size and shape. For instance, in our ordinary daily lives, racial and religious prejudice may not always appear on the surface. As you know, troublemakers who spread bigotry like to work in a sneaky, underhanded way. That's why they're like icebergs. Under the surface, they can build up an ugly mass of ill will between one group and another group. That, like an iceberg, can cause a serious catastrophe. So we've got to be lookouts, all of us, like sailors in a crow's nest of a ship. We've got to keep a watch for those telltale signs of danger ahead. And when we see them, sing out a warning.
The Adventures of Superman. Because of a certain secret letter which fell into her hands in France, Diana Lane, a dancer, and her sister Lois, the Daily Planet girl reporter, are the prisoners of a mysterious masked man in Paris. Then, while Superman and the police searched for the two sisters, their masked captor gave Diana just 60 seconds in which to tell him where the letter was. If she refused, he threatened, both she and Lois would die. Now, as the masked gray-haired man waits across the dusty candlelit room, and with the man he calls Jacques leans against the door, watch in hand, Diana confers anxiously with her sister. Suddenly, he looks up.
The time is up, mademoiselle.
Oh, dear. What'll I do, Lois? I don't know, Diana. I'm afraid that you'd better...
What is your decision, Mademoiselle Diana?
I told you I lost the letter. I don't know
And
where...
I told you I do not believe you, mademoiselle.
But you must. It's true. It's absolute...
You will please convince them that I am serious? Now?
Oui, monsieur. I will convince
Diana, tell them where the letter is. Go on, please.
That is sound advice,
But,
mademoiselle.
Lois, look, there's nothing else to do, darling. Go on now, tell them. All right. I hid it in a magazine.
Huh? Where is this magazine?
On the shelf of a broom closet across the hall from my apartment.
Huh?
Oh, Lois, it's all right, darling.
Jacques, go at once. See if she speaks the truth.
Oui, monsieur.
Un moment. Gendarme may be there. Have great care.
Oui, monsieur. Have no fear. Au revoir.
Now, mademoiselle, you will both wait in the next room until Jacques returns. In here.
And then what?
That, mes amis, we'll discover later.
Haven't you found even a trace of them yet, Captain?
I assure you, Monsieur Kent, everything possible is being done by the police to find Mademoiselle Lois and Diana Lane.
I realize that, Captain Dulac.
You are anxious, I understand, but we shall find them eventually. Have no fear.
We've got to find them now before it's too late.
Yeah.
It isn't too late already. What about Diana's apartment? Did your laboratory men discover anything of interest there?
Only a few fingerprints, which, however, match none in the police file.
Oh.
Our only clue is that she was taken away in a Fiat automobile.
So what? There are thousands of Fiats in Paris.
But
And
I
even
have assigned two excellent detectives to trail Monsieur Raymond, the dancing partner of Mademoiselle Diana.
Oh, no,
And I am hopeful that will lead to something.
Forget it. It won't lead to anything.
I think it may. It is my theory that Raymond, who was in love with Mademoiselle Diana, became infuriated when she announced she was breaking up their, dance act.
I tell you, you're barking up the wrong tree, Captain. I'm convinced that mysterious letter Diana had is responsible for their
And
disappearance.
I, monsieur, believe the letter to be only a fiction invented by Raymond as an alibi.
Well, if that were true, why would Diana's apartment be searched thoroughly by whoever took her away, and searched again when Lois was taken away? Now, that means somebody was looking for something, and I think it was a letter.
Un moment, monsieur.
Certainly.
Captain Henri Dulac speaking. Oui. But, when was this? Oui. I come at once. Au revoir.
What's happened now, Captain?
Something else has occurred at the pension from which your friend has disappeared, Monsieur Kent.
Something else? What do you mean?
I will explain en route. We must hurry. Allons. Tell Monsieur Kent and me what happened, Corporal Lambert.
Oui, mon capitaine. I was here in the front hall, guarding the house as you directed. Suddenly, I heard screams from above. I raced upstairs to the top floor and found this one, the chambermaid, screaming with her mouth open.
Stupid. How else could she scream? You, madame. Who are you?
Your sister name, Monsieur Capitaine. I'm employed by the concierge to clean the halls and attend to the apartment.
Bien. Tell us what occurred.
I went to a broom closet for a mop.
Yeah.
When I opened the door, a man stood there.
A man?
Oui. I was frightened. One does not expect to open a broom closet and see a man.
Oh.
I screamed, and he seized me by the throat.
Then what?
Le gendarme below heard me scream.
Yes?
He started up the stairs. Then released me right to the window in the hall, right back and snatched up a letter with the drop. And then we must hear. Then he ran to the window. He slid to the garden on the rope.
A burglar, no doubt.
Oh, no, he was no burglar, Captain Dulac. He must have come here for that letter I had, and apparently he got it.
But, Monsieur Kent, wait. You jumped to the conclusion.
Maybe, but I think I'm right, Captain. And if we can find that man, we may find Lois and Diana. Look, Lucy, can you tell me what this man looked like?
No, I cannot. I was too frightened to observe.
I had a look at him in the garden for a moment, monsieur.
Yes, Corporal?
He was thin but wiry, like a terrier dog.
Yes?
He wore a black and white jacket, a cap, and a blue handkerchief at his throat.
Good. I may be able to pick up his trail if I leave right now.
Wait, Monsieur Kent. I will put out an alarm for you.
Oh, go ahead, but I'm going after that man in my way. See you later, Captain.
Hurrying from the boarding house, Clark Kent steps into an areaway and swiftly resumes his true identity of Superman. Then,
up, and away!
The Man of Steel rockets up into the sky to search for the man he believes can lead him to Lois Lane and Diana. We'll be back in a moment for the exciting climax of today's episode. So keep listening.
Gang, anyway, any farmer, that is, can tell you a mighty good way to frighten crows out of a cornfield. And that is to take an old hat, a coat, and a pair of pants, stuff them with straw, then prop them up on sticks. Well, when he sees that, Mr. Crow won't attempt to eat corn. Because, well, he's so lame-brained he thinks that the stuffed dummy is a man. Now, when you're dealing with crows, that dressed-up dummy serves a valuable purpose. But you can't have much respect for human beings who fall for scarecrows, can you? Well, there are lots of people who do. For instance, you know and I know that there's no such thing as a type among people. We know we must judge human beings as individuals. Now, a fellow may have a certain outstanding physical characteristic, or he may belong to a certain religious faith. But that doesn't make him typical. That is to say, just like everybody else of his race or religion. Well, the troublemakers who want to stir up hatred have a neat trick. They create a dummy, or let's call it a scarecrow, an imaginary figure that's not real at all. Then they give this straw man a fake label, and they tell any dope who'll listen, what you see is a typical member of this or that race or religious group. Get that? Well, as I said before, some people aren't any smarter than crows. If you can get half-wits to believe a scarecrow is real, you can make them believe most any old rubbish. Don't you fall for balderdash like that, gang. Make sure you are smart enough to spot the difference between what's real and what's phony. When you run across someone who doesn't know the difference, point it out. Make it plain. Yes, it's your duty as a good American.
And now, back to the adventures of Superman. Locked in a small, dusty cubicle of a room in the house of the mysterious masked man, Lois Lane and her sister Diana have succeeded in prying open the shutters of the single, grimy window. But after raising the creaking, warped window an inch at a time, they lean out, then catch their breaths in dismay. For 5 stories below them is the ancient courtyard, a rubble of broken stone and tall weeds. And beyond the courtyard is the river.
Uh-oh. I'm afraid there's no getting out this way, Diana.
Oh, dear, what'll we do, Lois? Jacques will be back any minute now, and you know that'll be the end for us.
Yes, I know. This seems to be the last of a row of old townhouses. Oh, built one against the other. I think they're all deserted, though. I can't see a soul anywhere around.
Let me see. Yes, I think the other houses in the row are deserted. But if we could get over to
Well, how can we do that, Diana? There's no window ledge or anything.
Lois, look.
At what, honey?
That rainfall. It's just a few feet away. I could climb down that and... Oh, no, that's out. It's broken off below the next floor.
It was out anyhow. How could we get to it?
Wait a minute. It runs up to the roof. I could shinny up, then run across the
Oh, stop raving, Diana. How do you expect to get to the rain that's out? It's at least 6 feet away.
It won't be easy. But I can hang from your hand and swing from side to side till I have enough momentum to swing.
Well, you're mad, honey. You'd fall and be killed.
No, I wouldn't. I'm an acrobatic dancer, you know. And I've done much of the tricks than that. As I see, we hold each other's wrists. Like this.
Oh, no, don't be silly, Diana. I wouldn't hear of such a thing. Look at that.
Just, he came back. He must have the letter, and that means he and the masked man will be in here. Lois, quickly, help me reach that raised part. I'll get help.
But, Diana, it's too dangerous.
Would you rather just wait here for those men to shoot us?
Well, no.
And then let's try. Wait till I get on the window.
Diana, do be careful, please.
Don't worry about me. Lock your fingers around my wrist.
Oh, all right.
That's it. And I'll grip your wrist. Like this.
Yes.
Hang on now.
Oh,
dear. I'll start swinging. Just hang on and sway with me. Okay. And when I say let go at once, right? All right, Diana. Are you all right? Yes. Get ready now.
What is... Oh, Chuck! Come over here.
Diana, the man. He's here. Let go, Lois. Let go.
As the masked man and Jacques, his henchman, rush into the small room, Lois, at the command of her sister, releases her wrists and watches helplessly as Diana flies past the window toward the rain spout fastened to the outside wall. What will happen to Diana takes this spectacular risk to save her sister Lois's life and her own? As Superman set out on Jacques' trail is as yet nowhere at hand. Well, for plenty of thrills, action, and excitement, be sure to hear Monday's sensational episode, fellows and girls. Tune in, same time, same station, for Chapter 6 of The Mystery of the Letter on The Adventures of Superman.
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC Comics magazine and is brought to you Monday through Friday at this same time. Watch for the Superman Adventure serial, soon to be shown at your local movie theater. This program came from New York. Stay tuned to your mutual station for Adventure Parade, which follows in just a moment. And right after Adventure Parade, you will hear Tom Mix and his straight shooters. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Yes, it's Superman, strange visitor from the planet Krypton, who came to Earth with amazing physical powers far beyond those of mortal men, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, wages a never-ending battle for truth and justice. Today, while Superman searches in Paris for Lois and Diana Lane, a mysterious masked man and his henchmen make ominous plans for the two sisters.
You found the letter, Jacques?
Oui, monsieur, here it is.
Ah, bien. You've done well. Now I have no more to fear.
But what of les femmes, Mademoiselle Lois and Diana Lane? If they should go to the police...
They will have no opportunity to go to the police.
What shall we do, monsieur?
Come, Jacques. We must eliminate them at once.
Say, gang, did you know that we're all peculiar? Now, that may sound like a pretty strange thing to say, but if you think about it for a moment, you'll see my point. For instance, imagine looking around you and seeing everyone exactly the same. Same features, same clothes, same height. If you said something to one of them, he'd make the same reply that any of them would make. Each one of them would be doing the same thing. If that were so, my hunch says you'd be bored pretty quickly, because, after all, variety is the spice of life. There wouldn't be much point in talking to people if each one answered the same thing every time. If you knew what everyone thought and liked and could count on what their reply would be whenever you asked a question. For example, you may like baseball. Your pal may prefer swimming. Now, that doesn't mean that one or the other of you is wrong, does it? But the funny thing is that a lot of people don't seem to realize others can be different. They think that for someone to be normal, he must like the same things they like. Why, in one school I know of, the boys on the football team would hardly even speak to those who got good marks but were not particularly interested in athletics. And the boys on the school newspaper ignored the ones on the wrestling team. As a result, the whole school was split up into a lot of little groups, each one disliking the others. Now, if these boys had realized that it takes all sorts of people to make up the world, and that not everyone is interested in exactly the same things, each one would have had many more friends and consequently more fun. Yes, everyone is different in some way, thank heaven. It's up to you to recognize the advantages in those differences and learn to get along with all sorts of people.
And now, the adventures of Superman. In Paris, both Lois Lane, girl reporter for the Metropolis Daily Planet, and her sister Diana, a dancer, were held prisoners by a mysterious masked man who forced Diana to tell him where she had hidden a certain letter which had come into her possession. Aware that the masked man planned to eliminate them as soon as he had the letter, Diana attempted a daring escape from the old house in which they were held in order to summon aid. Clinging to Lois's hands, Diana let herself out of a fifth-floor window and, swinging from side to side to gain momentum, flashed through the air to a rain spout attached to a building several feet away. But at that moment, the masked man and Jacques, his henchman, rushed into the room.
What goes on here?
Oh, nothing.
Where is Mademoiselle Diana?
Why...
Look, monsieur. The window, it is open.
Bleu. The little fool leaped to her death.
Nom de nom.
Yes, she was foolish,
I do not see her below in the courtyard. Where is she?
Behold, monsieur. She climbed the rain spout.
Where?
See, up above. She's almost at the roof.
They see you, Diana. Hurry.
Give me a revolver, Jacques.
No, please don't. Hurry, Diana.
No, I will... Ah, sucker. She's reached the roof. He's out of sight.
Oh, thank heaven.
Come, Jacques. After her. Up to the roof.
I do not see Mademoiselle Diana, monsieur.
Mais no. Not do I. She must have proceeded to the roof of the next building. Come, Jacques. Oui. You brought my rifle?
Oui, monsieur.
I will finish her at once. Then we will take care of her sister Lois. Wait. She is not on this roof either.
What can she be?
I do not know. She would not have leaped to the next roof. It is too far.
Ah, there she is, monsieur.
Where?
There below. See, she run along the rocks above the river.
Ah, oui, I see her.
She must have slid down the gun spout in the back of this old house.
Cease your chatter and shoot.
Oui, monsieur. I will take careful aim and then...
Ah, no, you missed her. But I will not miss this time.
Un moment, monsieur. If anyone hear our gun...
Bet. You spoiled my aim.
But, monsieur, I only...
There is nobody to hear us. These old houses have been condemned and empty for years.
Oh,
fire, Bet, fire! She must not get away.
Kneeling on the roof of the ancient house, the masked man and Jacques pour rifle and revolver fire at Diana Lane, who runs, leaping from rock to rock above the river, stumbling, picking herself up and running onward as the deadly leaden pellets strike all about her. Meanwhile, pursuing Jacques' trail from the boarding house, Superman has dropped down from the sky to a street intersection, where he questions a fruit vendor.
Did you see a thin, wiry man run past here a short while ago?
The man, monsieur?
Yes, he wore a black and white jacket and a blue handkerchief around his neck.
Oui, I saw him.
You did? Which way did he go?
He ran that way.
Thank you. Up, and away! Tell me, madam, did you see a man run by here a short while ago?
Man, monsieur?
Yes, he wore a black and white jacket and a blue handkerchief around his neck. He was thin and wiry.
Oui, I saw him, monsieur.
Good. Which way did he go?
He leaped on a bus.
On a bus?
Oui, the one that goes to La Rue du Brac, northward.
Thank you. Up, and away! Well, there's the end of the bus line and the river. Still no sign of my man, though. But if he came this way, he can't be too far off. I'll scour this whole neighborhood. Away!
What kind of a marksman are you, Jacques? You keep missing her.
Mademoiselle Diana leaped from rock to rock like an antelope, monsieur. It is difficult to aim.
She will be out of range any moment.
Where is she?
Behind that high rock. She will emerge any moment. I will have a clear shot at her. Believe me, I will not miss this time.
Ah, there she is, monsieur.
Oui, I see her. Now, Mademoiselle Diana.
Ah, you hit her, monsieur.
Oui, I think so.
See, she fall into the river.
Bien. That is the end of her. Come now, Jacques.
What do we do now?
Our work here is almost completed. But we must act swiftly. Allons.
No sign of my man. Not many houses around here. I wonder if he crossed the river. Away! Wait. Down there in the river. It looks like... Yes, it's a girl floating in the water. Down to her. Down! Now, let's see. Great Scott, it's Diana. Diana Lane. And she's been shot.
Shocked, Superman holds the limp, unconscious body of Diana Lane in his arms. Is she alive? We'll be back in a moment for the 10th climax of today's episode, so keep listening.
Are you superstitious, gang? Do you ever catch yourself saying things such as, "Hey, watch out, you'll walk under a ladder and gosh, what'll happen to you?" Or, "Uh-oh, you broke a mirror and that's 7 years bad luck." Tell me, do you honestly believe such drivel? I hope not, because, as you must know, that's just a lot of nonsense. Now, there's a superstition that if you make a circle of a horsehair and put a spider in the center, the spider can't possibly escape. Now, we know that's silly, yet lots of people believe it. Well, a long time ago, an organization was formed in England called the Royal Geographic Society, whose purpose was to find out scientific facts, and the learned members of the society spent some of their time exposing popular superstitions. Very carefully, they made a ring of the horsehair in the middle of the large table in their meeting room, and then they placed the spider in the center. Then all the scholarly men with their white beards peered curiously at the little spider through their spectacles, and they murmured their approval as the spider crossed the horsehair as if it never existed. Now, this event, gang, was very carefully and seriously recorded in their minutes because, though it may sound rather silly, it was actually very important. The reason for its importance was that up to that time, people rarely experimented. Instead, they believed statements just because men who seemed to know told them so. The habit of accepting without testing or experimenting can be very dangerous and can many times make you appear ridiculous. So be smart. When anyone tries to make you believe something that sounds questionable, demand proof.
And now, back to the adventures of Superman. Finding Diana Lane in the river and quickly determining that a bullet had only grazed her skull, stunning her, Superman carried the unconscious girl to the river bank where he applied artificial respiration. And now, a short time later, Diana opens her eyes.
Take it easy, Diana.
Who are you?
Superman.
Superman?
That's right.
Oh, thank heaven.
Now, tell me...
The masked man. Where is he?
Who?
The masked man. I got away from him, but he's got Lois.
Where, Diana? Where?
In a house. An old house.
Yes, but where is it?
It's that way. No, it's that way. Oh, I can't remember.
But you must. Which way did you come?
I don't know. I was running along the rocks, and he and Jacques were shooting at me. I became confused.
Well, you could only have come from the north or the south. What kind of a house was it?
An old red townhouse.
Yes?
There were several like it right next to each other, walled in on the river.
On the river.
They're deserted.
Wait a minute. I can see a row of old houses like that. Are you strong enough to come with me, Diana?
Oh, yes. Oh, poor Lois, you must find her.
Don't you worry.
You must.
Now, we're going to fly, so don't be afraid.
No, I won't. Just hurry, Superman. Hurry.
Okay. Here we go. Up, and away! There we are. Is this the house, Diana?
Yes. Now, if only we aren't too late to save Lois. Well, don't just stand there, Superman. Go inside.
It's no use, Diana. We're too late.
Too late?
Yes.
What do you mean?
The house is empty.
No, it can't be. I left Lois here.
Well, she's not here now. And neither is the masked man or anyone else.
Oh.
Heaven only knows now what happened to Lois and where she is.
Helplessly, their hearts heavy, Superman and Diana Lane stand before the ancient faded townhouse, which is empty now of Lois Lane and her mysterious captors. What has happened to the girl reporter? What will Superman do now to find his friend and solve the secret of the strange plot which almost resulted in Diana losing her life? Diana tells Superman an amazing story in tomorrow's thrilling episode, and even more amazing things occur. So be sure to listen. Tune in, same time, same station, for Chapter 7 of The Mystery of the Letter on The Adventures of Superman.
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC Comics magazine and is brought to you Monday through Friday at this same time. Watch for the Superman Adventure serial soon to be shown at your local movie theater. This program came from New York. Stay tuned to your mutual station for Adventure Parade, which follows in just a moment. And right after Adventure Parade, you'll hear Tom Mix and his Straight Shooters. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Yes, it's Superman, strange visitor from the planet Krypton, who came to Earth with amazing physical powers far beyond those of mortal men, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, wages a never-ending battle for truth and justice. Today, streaking to an old mansion in Paris with Diana Lane, sister of the missing Lois Lane, Superman makes a startling discovery.
Are you sure this is the house, Diana?
Yes, of course. Come on, Superman. Lois is in there.
No, wait.
Well, what for? I tell you
Lois isn't here now, Diana.
What?
And neither is the masked man.
Good grief, are you sure?
I'm positive the house is empty. Heaven only knows now where Lois is and what has happened to her.
Will you walk into my parlor, said the spider to the fly? Doesn't that sound familiar to you, gang? It must, because I'm sure you've all heard that old rhyme, and at one time or another, you've probably all seen Old Man Spider at work, too. But if you haven't, watch him closely next time as he spins his delicate web, then stands waiting off to one side until some dumb insect buzzes along, climbs onto the web, and then smackle, gets caught in its fine strand. And Old Man Spider fastens him tight. How come the bug is such sucker bait? Well, the web looks so pretty, you see. It looks so harmless, so he falls. But of course, that's its purpose, to attract victims. Now, gang, I guess you'll all agree with me when I say there are all kinds of webs. And they're not always woven by spiders either, at least not by spiders of the insect variety. No, sir. Why, you and I know that any number of foolish people let themselves get caught by what at first glance appears to be a most enticing notion. I mean the phony notion that they belong to a so-called superior race, or that their particular ancestry makes them better than the next fellow. But it's just a trap. Yes, as much of a trap as a spider's web, and catches them in the webs of prejudice woven by ignorant and malicious people who spread ill feeling. Bigots who are to the human world what spiders are to the insect world. And if we allow it, the webs of prejudice and bigotry can stretch over a lot of territory. What can happen then is a weakening of our social structure and a tearing down of what America stands for. Gang, don't let that happen here.
And now, the adventures of Superman. Because of a certain letter which fell into her hands in Paris, Diana Lane, sister of Lois Lane, the girl reporter, was abducted by a mysterious masked man. And when Lois arrived in Paris, she too was taken prisoner by the same man. While Clark Kent, who as we know is Superman, searched for the two sisters, Diana made a daring escape from an old house on the river where she and Lois were being held. But the masked man fired at her as she ran along some rocks above the water, and, grazed by a bullet, Diana fell into the river. Superman rescued the girl, but when he returned with her to the house of the masked man, he found it deserted. Grimly, he said to Diana,
Heaven only knows where Lois is now and what has happened to her.
Now, after a vain attempt to pick up the trail of Lois and the masked man, Superman, disguised as reporter Clark Kent, has hurried to Paris Police Headquarters, where we join him now with Captain Dulac.
Did your men find anything at the house on the river, Captain Dulac?
Only 4 sets of fingerprints and 4 sets of footprints, Monsieur Kent.
Oh?
But they are useless.
Useless? Why?
Because 2 sets belong to Mademoiselle Diana and her sister Lois. The other 2, who knows?
They don't match any in your files?
That is correct.
Uh-oh. Well, look, who owns that house?
One Monsieur Georges Carré.
Georges Carré?
Oui.
Well, have you checked with him?
Oui, I have. Naturally, he knows nothing of what has occurred. Although the house remains in his estate, he says it was long ago condemned and deserted.
Oh, but surely he knows...
If only we had a good description of the masked man.
Well, Miss Diana Lane saw him.
Oui, but all Mademoiselle Diana can tell us is that he has gray hair and speaks in a refined manner.
Yeah, that's not much to go on.
And the other one? The thin one called Jacques.
Uh-huh.
Well, the thin one called Jacques is as common in Paris as, a guy named Joe in your country.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Well, look, Captain, was Diana able to tell you anything about the letter that's behind all this?
Only that the masked man forced her to tell him she had hidden it in the broom closet at the pension. And Jacques retrieved it, as you suspected.
Yes, I know that.
Oui, but before she could tell us more, she collapsed from shock.
Oh, the poor kid.
But do not be disturbed. The doctor in our first aid quarters assures me that Mademoiselle Diana will soon be in a condition to be questioned further. I wait now for a call from him.
Oh, good. Well, now...
I must apologize, Monsieur Kent,
what?
for rejecting your theory of the letter yesterday.
Oh.
You are a very clever young man.
Oh, forget it, Captain. It was just a hunch.
I am convinced now that the letter holds the key to this mystery of the masked man's identity and of the fate of Mademoiselle Lois Lane.
So am I.
Pardon, my telephone rings. Capitaine Henri Dulac. Oui? Ici. Bien, merci. We come at once. Au revoir.
Who is that, Captain?
The doctor. He tells me that Mademoiselle Diana can now be questioned, Monsieur Kent.
Oh, fine. Let's go see her.
Oh, Clark, I'm so worried about Lois.
I know, Diana.
The masked man said he'd finish both of us as soon as he got that letter, and now he has got it and hers, so...
Now, take it easy, Diana. Take it easy. Just tell us all you know about the letter, and we may be able to find Lois.
Oui, tell us everything, mademoiselle.
But how can I when it was in French and I can't read French?
Well, never mind. Just tell us everything that happened. I mean, how and when you got it and all the rest.
Oui, some little thing may tell us what we wish to know.
Well, all right. It was 4 nights ago.
Uh-huh.
Raymond and I had just finished our dance engagement at the Cafe Can-Can. Raymond is my dancing partner, you know.
Yes. Go on, Diana.
Well, we were booked for Madrid, but we had a day off before we had to leave, so I set out to explore Paris. It was the first chance I'd had to do any sightseeing.
You went alone, mademoiselle?
Yes, Captain. When it got dark, I found myself in the outskirts of the city. I was hungry, so I went into a little cafe.
Go on.
Well, I was halfway through my dinner when I noticed a man at the next table. He kept staring at me.
Oh?
And then he'd look at 3 rough-looking men at a table against the wall, and then he'd turn back and stare at me again. It made me very nervous.
Naturally.
What did you do?
Well, I began to hurry to finish my dinner and get out when the man suddenly got up and started toward me.
Oh?
And the 3 rough-looking men at the wall table got up, too.
What did you do then?
Well, the man who had been staring dropped his hat when he reached me. When he was picking it up, he tossed a folded piece of paper, a letterhead, into my lap, and he spoke very quickly and softly in French.
What did he say?
Well, I don't understand much French, and then only when it's spoken slowly.
Oh.
The man spoke so quickly I didn't understand anything he said.
I see.
And then he went right out, followed by the 3 rough-looking men.
You mean leaving the folded letter in your lap?
Yes, that's right, Clark.
This man, mademoiselle, what did he look like?
Oh, like any average man, Captain.
Now, how is that?
Well, about 35 or 40, I'd say. Sandy hair, ordinary face, ordinary clothes. There wasn't anything, well, distinguishing about him.
I see.
What about the letter, Diana?
Oh, yes. Well, at first I was going to throw it away because I thought he was trying to flirt with me.
Uh-huh.
But then I remembered he hadn't written it while I was there, so it must have been written before. And I got very curious about what the letter said.
Well, of course.
Did you not think to show it to some Frenchman and ask him to translate it for you, mademoiselle?
Yes, that's exactly what I did think of, Captain.
And?
I didn't want to ask anyone in the cafe, though, because I didn't like their looks. So I waited until I got out and found a taxi. And then I showed the letter to the driver. to my hotel, driver. I wonder if you'd mind translating this letter for me. You see, I can't read French.
Of course, mademoiselle. Gladly. Give it to me.
Oh, thank you so much. Here it is.
Ah, oui. It begins. Monsieur, I have discovered that... What is this, mademoiselle?
Why, it's a letter that a man...
It is an outrage and a vile lie. That is what it is. You should be ashamed, mademoiselle.
What? I don't understand
what... A pack of lies. Libel. It is a disgrace to la belle France. I will not drive one who spreads such vicious lies as this.
Oh, but look here, driver.
Mademoiselle.
Now, wait a minute,
Leave my
driver.
cab at once, I say, or I shall not be responsible for my actions.
Driver, please.
Mademoiselle. Go.
And then he practically pushed me out of his cab.
Strange. Very strange.
Strange is right, Captain. What happened then, Diana?
Well, Clark, I waited till I got to my hotel, the Elysee, and then I showed it to the assistant manager, and the same thing happened.
What? You mean he also...
Yes. Yes, he flew into a terrible rage, just like the taxi driver did. And he ordered me to check out of his hotel at once.
No.
Didn't he tell you what the letter said?
No, Clark. I still don't know.
We must find out. That letter was the reason for the abduction of you and your sister.
Yes, and when we know what it said, we should know the identity of the masked man and so be able to find Lois.
But how can we find out, Clark? The masked man has the letter now.
Well, that's simple, Diana. We'll get hold of the hotel manager or the taxi driver and have them tell us what it said. Right, Captain Dulac?
Oui, monsieur. Mademoiselle, you will remain here and rest. Monsieur Kent, you and I will go to the Elysee Hotel and interview the assistant manager at once.
We'll be back in a moment for the startling climax of today's episode, so keep listening.
Ever been out driving on a Sunday, gang? I'm sure you have. Well, picture this. Suppose you and the family are driving in the old jalopy, and you're not sure how to get to a certain place. So you stop and ask directions. Well, some dumb-looking Mortimer Snurd starts to tell you. He scratches his head and hems and haws and finally says,
Well, you go about 5 miles this way, then you take a left No, first you go... No, wait a minute, that's right.
Well, pretty soon it's plain that the guy doesn't know the right way, only he hates to admit it. He'd rather give you the wrong steer than confess he doesn't know. And if you were to follow his directions, 10 to 1, you'd be stuck on some back road till way after dark. And the trouble is, there are always certain ignoramuses who hand out phony information. Why? Because it makes them feel important to offer hot air as absolute gospel truth. You know the stuff I mean. Stuff about how one man's religion makes him better or worse than somebody else. Falsehoods about this or that group. Absolutely not a word of truth in any of it. Unfortunately, there are always suckers who listen and let themselves be misguided. They believe this rubbish, and they let it guide their own thinking. Then, the first thing you know, they're hopelessly lost in some back road of twisted, cockeyed ideas. Well, don't let it happen to you, gang. Remember that good common sense is like signposts on the highway. It keeps you headed in the right direction. So follow it yourself. And then, when you run into someone who has been misled, do your level best to set him straight.
And now, back to the adventures of Superman. Just as Clark Kent and Captain Dulac are about to leave Diana and interview her hotel manager, the phone rings. Dulac answers it.
Captain Henri Dulac speaking. Oui. Hein? Qu'est-ce qui c'est? Oui. Oui. Sacre bleu.
What happened, Captain?
Continue, s'il vous plaît. Oui. Oui, je comprends. Oui. Au revoir.
Well, Captain?
You look so serious, Captain Dulac. Is it bad news about Lois?
One moment, mademoiselle. Tell me, this taxi driver to whom you showed the letter, did he have red hair and wear glasses?
Why, yes. How did you know?
Why do you ask, Captain?
And the assistant hotel manager to whom you showed the letter, was he large and, how you say, plump? Was his name Monsieur Tussaud?
Yes. Why?
Ah, that is bad. Very bad.
What's very bad? What happened, Captain?
The taxi driver and the hotel manager on whom we counted to tell us what was in the letter.
Yes, what about them?
They have just been found in a small wood outside Paris, Monsieur Kent. They were shot.
Shot?
Oh, no.
Oui. They are both dead. So, what shall we do now?
Dismayed, Clark Kent and Diana Lane stare at Captain Dulac, who shakes his head sadly and repeats,
What shall we do now?
Tomorrow's exciting episode may give us the answer, fellows and girls, so be sure to listen. Tune in, same time, same station, for Chapter 8 of The Mystery of the Letter on The Adventures of Superman.
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC Comics magazine and is brought to you Monday through Friday at the same time. Watch for the Superman Adventure serial soon to be shown at your local movie theater. This program came from New York. Stay tuned to your mutual station for Adventure Parade, which follows in just a moment. And right after Adventure Parade, you will hear Tom Mix and his Straight Shooters. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Yes, it's Superman, strange visitor from the planet Krypton, who came to Earth with amazing physical powers far beyond those of mortal men, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, wages a never-ending battle for truth and justice. Today, with Lois Lane still missing, Clark Kent and Diana Lane hear of a startling new development from Henri Dulac, the French police captain.
Ah, Monsieur Kent, you know of the taxi driver and the hotel manager? Those on whom we counted the leaders to Mademoiselle Lois Lane?
Yes, of course. What about them, Captain?
They've just been found in a wood. They were shot.
Shot?
Oh, no.
Oui. They are both dead. So now, how shall we find la pauvre Mademoiselle Lois Lane?
Gang, have you ever wondered if you have a double? I mean someone who looks exactly like you. You know, that happens quite often. Well, there's a story about doubles I'd like to tell you. A number of years ago, a man who looked just like the late Babe Ruth showed up in a smaller city. He walked like the great Bambino, he talked like him, and he even said that he was Babe Ruth. Well, naturally, the people in this city were very flattered to have him as a guest. And wherever he appeared, crowds gathered. Youngsters and grown-ups came and asked him to autograph their baseballs and bats and autograph books. For 2 weeks, this man acted like a big shot. He ran up big bills and bought everything in sight. Well, finally, someone read in the papers that the real Babe Ruth was a couple of 1,000 miles away, and this person was exposed as a cheat. Now, wasn't that a stupid thing to do? Of course it was. But some people are always looking for ways to make themselves more important than the next guy. And there's one kind in particular that you ought to watch out for. I'm talking about those who use prejudice. That is, the notion that they're better than anyone else just because they belong to a certain race or religion, to give themselves a false sense of importance. That, of course, is just as stupid as masquerading. Because none of us is automatically better than anyone else because of our race or our religion. So, gang, the next time you hear someone trying to puff himself up by running down other people, just tell him he's not a big shot at all. Tell him he's just being stupid, and the only guy he's fooling is himself.
And now, the adventures of Superman. A mysterious French letter, which was given to her by an unknown man in Paris, led to the abduction in France's capital city of Diana Lane and her sister Lois, Daily Planet girl reporter, by a masked man. Diana managed to escape, but when she and Clark Kent, who unknown to all is Superman, returned to the house of the masked man, they found both Lois and her captor gone. Certain that the key to the mystery was in the French letter, which was now in the hands of the masked man, Kent and Police Captain Dulac were setting out to question a taxi driver and an hotel manager to whom Diana had shown the letter in an effort to have it translated. But just then, Dulac received a phone call. And when he replaced the instrument and turned to face Kent and Diana, his face was full of dismay.
What's the matter, Captain Dulac?
Yes, what's happened?
It is very bad, Monsieur Kent.
What's very bad?
The taxi driver and the hotel manager have just been found dead in a wood. They were shot.
What?
Oh, no.
Now we shall never know what was in the letter. And without that information, how can we find the masked man and the Mademoiselle Lois Lane?
Oh, dear, this is terrible.
Those men
Poor
must have been
Lois.
shot by the masked man to prevent them from revealing what was in the letter.
Of course. But now we are, how you say, of the tree, eh?
Maybe not.
I'm afraid so, monsieur. Because only the taxi driver and the hotel manager knew what the letter said, since Mademoiselle Diana showed it to nobody else. Is it not so, Mademoiselle?
Yes, that's right. That is, nobody except for Raymond, my dancing partner, but he can't read French either.
Ah, so you see,
wait,
Monsieur
Captain,
Kent.
wait a minute. Diana, I want you to think hard about that letter.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's something you can recall about it that Captain Dulac will be able to...
No, I've told you, Clark, it was in French. I couldn't read
Yes,
it.
I know. But there may be something else about it that'll, well, give us a lead. Can you recall any words, any, well, names, perhaps?
Names?
Yes.
Let me see. It seems to me there were some names.
There were?
Can you remember them, Mademoiselle?
No. I think there was a George something.
George what?
Oh, I can't remember,
But
Clark.
you had the letter in front of you. How can you not remember?
I told you I couldn't understand it,
All right, now,
Captain.
wait a minute.
And I didn't know then how important it was going to be, so I certainly didn't study.
Please, take it easy now, both of you. We've got to stay calm. Diana, let's try this from another angle.
All right.
When you showed this letter to the taxi driver and then to the hotel manager and asked them to translate it, they might have said something about it that you haven't told us.
No, they didn't, Clark. They just flew into a rage. You'd think I'd insulted their mothers.
But they must have said something.
No, they just shouted about lies and insults to great men in La Belle France.
Great men. Did they mention any names?
No, they were too busy calling me names. For spreading lies, they said.
Yeah, well...
We get nowhere, Monsieur Kent. I shall return to
wait,
headquarters
please.
now.
Just a minute, Captain. Diana, our only chance to find Lois is through that letter.
I know, Clark, but what can I do? I'm going crazy with worry.
I want you to try one thing more. For Lois.
Anything, Clark. I'll do anything to find Lois.
Okay. I want you to picture that letter in your mind. Shut everything else out and just concentrate on that letter.
All right, Clark.
Now, is there anything about it that seems to stand out? Anything at all?
No.
We waste time, monsieur.
Please. Think hard, Diana.
I am, but... Oh, wait a minute, the signature.
Huh? What about the signature, Diana?
It was a capital L.
Only the single letter L?
Yes, but...
That is
Wait,
no
Captain,
L.
please. What else did you start to say, Diana?
Well, there were some kind of little pen scratchings under the letter
Scratchings?
L. Yes, I didn't pay any attention to them at the time, but now that I think back, it seems to me they formed a bird.
A bird?
Yes, a sort of a rough little drawing of a small bird. I'm not actually positive, but I think so.
Can't imagine what that...
Now we get someplace.
What?
What do you mean, Captain?
The bird. It is, I believe, a code signature for a secret government agent.
Oh.
Well, then.
We may be on the right track at last. Come, Monsieur Kent. You and I will proceed to the office of Colonel Charlot of the French Secret Service, where we may learn all about this letter. Allons. Then I was correct about the birth signature, Colonel Charlot?
Oui, Captain Dulac. The bird below the single capital letter L was the code signature of Monsieur Rolf Larue, a secret agent in my department.
Then it was he who gave the letter to Mademoiselle Diana Lane in the cafe that evening.
It must have been Larue.
Pardon me, Colonel. You said the bird and letter L was the code signature of Monsieur Larue. Do you mean that it...
Oui, Monsieur Kent. It is my belief that Rolf Larue is dead.
Uh-oh.
He was to report to me on a matter of the utmost importance at 9 o'clock of the evening on which he gave the letter to Mademoiselle Diana Lane. It is my certain belief that something happened to him that evening. Perhaps at the hands of the three rough-looking men whom Mademoiselle Diana observed following Larue from the cafe.
Oh? You think Larue knew he was in danger from those men, so he slipped the letter to Diana?
Undoubtedly, monsieur.
Uh-huh.
Oh, if only Mademoiselle Lane had been able to read French and could report to me the contents of Larue's letter. Well, but now there may be tragic consequences for France.
Well, may I ask what this important matter was that Larue was working on, Colonel?
I'm sorry, monsieur, that I cannot reveal.
Please, if you confide in me, I may be able to help you. I can be trusted to keep your secret.
But, monsieur...
Ask Captain Dulac here.
C'est bien. Then you must promise to reveal what I say to no one, Monsieur Kent.
I promise, sir, on my word of honor.
C'est bien. Then I will tell you this. We know that there is a spy among us. We know that he has already revealed highly important military and political secrets to an unfriendly power.
Really?
But I gather you don't know who this spy is.
That is correct. We believe he is somehow connected, perhaps as a secretary or servant, to one of high station in the affairs of the country, since otherwise he could not have access to this information.
I see.
For this reason, we of the police had to be most discreet in our investigations, since the spy might even be in our own department.
Of course.
So I assigned Rolf Leroux, my most trusted agent, to work on the matter alone. 4 evenings ago at 7 o'clock, he telephoned me.
That was the night he disappeared.
Oui. Leroux spoke only a few words. I have all the information at last, he said.
Ah, did he say who?
No, Captain. We did not trust the telephone. I instructed him to come to me at once, but he said he believed he was being trailed by 3 rough-looking men, and he must lose them first.
Somebody else knew Leroux was on the case.
Apparently. Now, who was it?
Why, the masked man, of course. He who did murder and abduction to secure the letter which revealed him.
Yes, and he knows where Lois Lane is, too.
Yes, oui, but who is the masked man?
I think I can tell you who he is, gentlemen.
You can?
Who, Mr. Kane?
You two wait here for me. If all goes well, I'll be back in an hour with the masked man. And, if she's alive, with Lois Lane, too.
Amazed, Colonel Charlot and Captain Dulac watch Clark Kent hurry from the office. We'll be back in a moment with the tense climax of today's episode, so keep listening.
Hey, gang, did you ever see the inside of a dry cleaning store? Well, in the back, where they do the real cleaning, you'll see a whole shelf full of different kinds of chemicals used to remove stains. Now, the first thing a cleaner has to figure out is, what made the stain? Well, that sounds easy, but it isn't really. It takes real scientific analysis to determine whether that spot was made by candy, coffee, eggs, grass, any one of a million things. But most of you boys and girls, of course, when you get spots in your clothes, just let Mom take care of it. But I think there are a few things we all ought to know. First, soap and water will wash out most kinds of dirt. And second, never use hot water, because heat makes certain substances harden up, like eggs, for instance. And then it becomes very difficult to get them out. But there's another kind of spot or stain we should all try to remove whenever we see it. It's the kind of stain you can't see, but you sure can feel it. I mean the stain of racial and religious prejudice. You know how it is when you meet a fellow who's all dressed up in his best suit, but there's a spot right on his coat. It spoils his whole appearance. And the same thing happens when you meet a person who's prejudiced, who makes nasty cracks about other folks' race or religion, and who acts like a bully or a snob. Prejudice just spoils his personality and keeps him from being attractive or appealing. It's a mark that needs cleaning badly, not with soap and water, but with facts and truth, and ordinary fair play and common sense. Keep that in mind, gang. Never let the mark of prejudice spoil your good looks. And whenever you see it on someone else, do your level best to clean it up by talking sense to whoever is stained with it.
And now, back to the adventures of Superman. In a private office not far from the one in which Clark Kent has just left Colonel Charlot and Captain Dulac, the telephone has just rung. The only occupant of the office, a rather stocky, gray-haired man, answers.
Hello?
Monsieur, c'est Jacques.
Ah, oui.
Edward has just phoned me from the cottage, monsieur.
Well, was he done?
Not yet, monsieur.
No, we're not.
When Edward observed Mademoiselle
That's
Lois
no name.
Pardon. When he observed the person was a girl, he refused to do the deed.
And I say... Listen to me, Jacques. Listen well.
Monsieur.
You will proceed there at once and attend to the matter yourself, you understand?
Oui, monsieur.
Every moment he is still with us is a great danger to me. You will go at once. At once, do you hear?
Oui, monsieur. I proceed now. Au revoir.
Replacing the telephone, the gray-haired man whom we last saw wearing a mask scowls at his wristwatch, calculating how long it will be before his order to eliminate Lois Lane will be carried out. Where is Lois, whom we know now is still alive? And where is Clark Kent, who promised, if all went as he expected, to have the masked man and Lois in his hands within the hour? We'll find out in tomorrow's thrilling, action-packed episode, gang, so be sure to listen. Tune in, same time, same station, for Chapter 9 of The Mystery of the Letter on The Adventures of Superman.
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC Comics magazine and is brought to you Monday through Friday at the same time. Watch for the Superman Adventure serial soon to be shown at your local movie theater. This program came from New York. Stay tuned to your mutual station for Adventure Parade, which follows in just a moment. And right after Adventure Parade, you will hear Tom Mix and his straight shooters. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Yes, it's Superman, strange visitor from the planet Krypton, who came to Earth with amazing physical powers far beyond those of mortal men, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, wages a never-ending battle for truth and justice. Today, while Superman follows a clue which he hopes will lead him to Lois Lane, the masked man makes his own plans for the girl reporter over the telephone.
While Mademoiselle Lois Lane remains alive, I am in great danger, Jacques. Do you understand?
Oui, monsieur, je comprends.
So you will proceed at once then to the cottage. And as soon as your task is done, telephone me.
Oui, you will hear from me shortly, monsieur. Au revoir.
Gang, I've got a new kind of quiz for you today. I'm going to talk in different kinds of languages, and I want you to try and identify them. All the languages will be made up of English words, but you're to try and guess what kind of people or occupation uses them. Okay, ready? Here's the first one. He's real gone. He's it. He's gone and come back. Real crazy, man, crazy. Were you able to guess what kind of work the people do who talk that way? Now, here's the second one. Run 'em up 4 from the electro plates. Cut, trim, and make a French fold. How you doing, gang? Do you know who speaks that way? Now, here's the third and last. Take a fix on Polaris, mister, and walk your dividers across the chart. Well, there they are. And now for the answers. That first one, the real gone talk, that's the bebop jazz musician's lingo. The second one, about the electro plate, is the way they talk in the printer's trade. And the third, of course, would be a ship's captain or navigator talking. Now, the point is that all these languages are American. And in a larger sense, almost every kind of language is American. For we, as a nation, why, I don't think there's a single country in the world, a single race or religion that's not represented here in the United States. But regardless of where we or our forefathers once came from, we are all now Americans. So remember, boys and girls, whether we speak with a drawl or an accent, whether we're jazz musicians or printers, the main thing is that in a more important sense, we all speak the same language, and that is the language of democracy.
And now, the adventures of Superman. Cornered by assassins in a Paris cafe, a secret agent for the French government slipped a letter to Diana Lane, a dancer and sister of Lois Lane, the Daily Planet reporter. As a result, both Diana and Lois, who had come to Paris to join her sister, were abducted by a masked man. Diana managed to escape, but when she returned with Superman to the house where she and Lois had been held, the masked man and Lois were gone. Colonel Charlot, chief of the French Secret Service, told Clark Kent, who is really Superman, that the masked man was an unknown spy who was revealing important information to an unfriendly power. Kent then said,
"Wait here for me, Colonel Charlot. If all goes well, I'll know the identity of the masked mysterious man and perhaps where Lois Lane is inside of an hour."
As we continue now, unaware that the masked man has just ordered a henchman to do away with Lois, Kent walks briskly into the office of Colonel Charlot, where the Secret Service chief is with Captain Dulac of the Paris police. Listen.
Here you are, gentlemen. There are 3 names on this list. I'll tell you how I got them later. But one of them is the masked man.
Really, monsieur? Let me see the list, Monsieur Kane.
Here you are, Colonel. Unfortunately, I don't know yet which one of the 3 is our man, but we have his fingerprints. So all we have to do is check the prints of each suspect.
One moment, monsieur. You have written here the names of Georges Boulanger, undersecretary in the military bureau.
That's right.
Monsieur Georges Egual, an assistant in the Bureau for Air Production.
Right, Colonel. Both men are named Georges. And you remember Diana Lane said a man with the first name of Georges was mentioned in your agent's letter.
Oui, that is so, but...
Also, both are gray-haired, well-educated men, which is the way Diana described the masked man. And finally, both are in a position to obtain top military and political secrets.
But, Monsieur Kent...
You said, Colonel, that the spy, the masked man, was undoubtedly a man in a high government position, did you not?
Oui, that is true,
Wait.
but...
What is the third name, Colonel?
Let me see. Mais non! This is too ridiculous.
I thought you'd say that, Colonel, but
Who is the man, Colonel?
See, Captain Dulac. See the name he writes here. Monsieur Georges Carré, one of our greatest cabinet ministers.
Monsieur Carré, a spy and a traitor? Impossible.
No, just a minute. I know it sounds impossible, but
that is an insult, Monsieur. Carré is one of the greatest men in France.
I know that, Colonel. This is a shock to me, too, but it does fit into the picture.
How do you mean that, Mr. Kent?
Well, if you remember, when Diana asked a taxi driver and a hotel manager to translate the letter for her, they flew into a rage and told her she was spreading lies about a great man. All right, Georges Carré is a great man.
But he's not a traitor.
Oui, I will myself vouch for him with my life.
Gentlemen, you forget that you're both police officials who cannot permit sentiment and emotion to run away with you.
But, monsieur, it is more than that. This reflects...
Wait a minute. Wait, please. Apart from the other evidence, Lois Lane and her sister were imprisoned in a house belonging to Carré.
But Carré knew nothing of that. The house has long been condemned and deserted.
Oui, that is true.
Monsieur Kent, it is ridiculous to suspect Monsieur
One
Carré.
moment, Captain Dulac. Monsieur Kent is correct.
Eh?
We permit sentiment to cloud our minds.
But, Colonel, surely you cannot believe that Georges Carré is a spy and a traitor?
No, I do not believe it. But he is under suspicion. Will be given the opportunity, together with Boulanger and Agual, to clear himself. Security not only of Mademoiselle Lois Lane, but of France itself is at stake.
Now you're talking, Colonel. Come on, let's get going, because every minute we waste may place Miss Lane in greater danger.
Oui. You have specimens of the masked man's fingerprints, have you not, Captain Dulac?
I have. That is, I suspect there is. I found them in the house on the river, together with the fingerprints of the man Jacques and the two young ladies.
Eh bien. We will proceed first to the office of Monsieur Boulanger. Ask him to permit us to take his fingerprints. Then we will proceed to Monsieur Agual and finally to Monsieur Carré.
Well, now, look, Colonel, why don't we go to Carré first?
Mais non, monsieur. Perhaps it will not be necessary. We proceed first to Boulanger and Agual. Allons.
As the two French officials and Clark Kent hurry from Colonel Charlot's office to fingerprint the three suspects, Jacques, who has been ordered by the mysterious masked man to eliminate Lois Lane, is speeding in a car to carry out his mission. But just beyond the city limits of Paris, a motorcycle policeman roars up beside the speeding car and motions Jacques to a stop.
You proceed to a firefight, monsieur?
Here, mon ami de gendarme. Here are my papers. You will observe that I am the chauffeur for a famous man in the government.
I do not care by whom you are employed. You have exceeded the speed limit and endangered the lives of the children coming from the school, so
but I am in a great hurry. I am an important mission for my employer. Now I must go. And you will be dealt with severely if you interfere with me.
So, you threaten me, a gendarme, monsieur?
A fig to you and all your gendarmes. I told you my employer is a great government official. Should I report you to him, you will be dealt with severely.
I do not care if your master is le président himself. You flout the law, and you insult the gendarmerie. For this, you will follow me and speak your piece to the judge.
As the fuming, impatient Jacques in his car follows the irate motorcycle policeman to a local station, Clark Kent, Captain Dulac, and Colonel Charlot return to the latter's office, where they are comparing the fingerprints of Georges Boulanger and Georges Egual with the prints of the mysterious masked man.
It is clear that the fingerprints of Monsieur Boulanger and Monsieur Egual do not match those found by you in the house of the masked man, Captain Dulac.
Oui, that is so, Colonel.
And it's just as I thought, gentlemen. Much as I regret to say it, Georges Carré is the man we want. He must be the masked man.
No, it cannot be, Monsieur.
Impossible.
I'm sure of it. And what's more, I'll prove it. Come on, let's go right over to his office and get his fingerprints.
But wait, monsieur. It is no simple matter to subject a great man, a great patriot, to such an indignity.
Of course, we must proceed.
Now, look, gentlemen, look. I intend to find Lois Lane, come what may. And heaven help the masked man, whoever he is, if I'm too late. You stay here if you want to, but I'm off to find...
We shall both accompany you, Monsieur Kent. As you say, the spy must be found and unmasked, whoever he is. So let us proceed at once to the office of Monsieur Carré.
Accompanied by Colonel Charlot and Captain Dulac, Clark Kent hurries to Georges Carré's office, certain that Carré is the masked man. Is Kent right? We'll be back in a moment to find out, so keep listening.
Boys and girls, you know summer often brings on sudden electrical storms. Flashes of forked lightning streak across the sky, followed by ear-splitting thunder, and oftener than not, a heavy downpour of rain. Now, at the first signs of lightning, some of us feel like clapping our hands tightly over our ears to shut out the thunder we know will follow. Then, as the thunder starts to roll off in the distance and the echo grows less and less fearsome, we sigh with relief. But you never can tell where that same lightning may hit and cause considerable damage. Now, science has found a way to deal with lightning. It has perfected the lightning rod, which provides a safe conduct path that brings the lightning's powerful current of electricity safely to the ground. By putting lightning rods on buildings, church steeples, and such, and by obeying a few simple rules, most of the damage caused by thunderstorms can be, and most often is, prevented. Now, come to think of it, gang, lightning and prejudice have a lot in common. Prejudice flares up dangerously just like lightning does, and plenty of damage can and is done by it. People are almost always hurt when prejudice strikes, and unless you use the lightning rod of common sense and reason to bring prejudice to the ground, serious damage is sure to result. So avoid troublemakers and soreheads. I mean those who speak ill of other races and religions. Just as science uses the lightning rod as a force to render electricity harmless, so you can use fair play and understanding as powerful forces against prejudice to help make this a safer and better world to live in.
And now, back to the adventures of Superman. Believing that Georges Carré, a cabinet minister, is the mysterious masked man who is responsible for the disappearance of Lois Lane, Clark Kent has sped to the official's office with Colonel Charlot and Captain Dulac. Now, after a brief, low-voiced conversation with Carré's secretary, Colonel Charlot joins Kent and Dulac.
Monsieur Carré's secretary informs me that the minister was called away a few minutes before we arrived, Monsieur Kent.
Called away? To where?
I do not know, but he left word he would return shortly.
Well, let us seat ourselves and await his return.
Eh bien.
Well, I suppose that's all we can do, Colonel, but I don't like it. Because the more I think of it, the more sure I am that Carré is the masked man. And every moment we wait means danger for Lois Lane.
Perhaps. But we can do nothing now but wait and hope.
Dreadful and impatient, Kent waits with Colonel Charlot and Captain Dulac in Georges Carré's outer office. While at that moment, a handsome car with Kent's quarry himself at the wheel and a smiling Jacques beside him pulls away from a local police station outside the city limits and moves southward away from Paris.
Ah, monsieur, how we growl that motorcycle policeman when you appear and had me released by the stupid gendarme. I warned him you were a famous official.
You're a fool, Jacques. If you'd been arrested in Paris, you might have been recognized as the one the police seek, the servant of the masked man.
Oh, but Monsieur
Be
Carré...
still, stupid one. I should have known better than to trust inferiors with so important a mission.
I am sorry, monsieur. I will make no further mistake in this matter.
You will have no opportunity to do so. I myself will see that the Mademoiselle Lois Lane is put out of the way.
Oh, monsieur.
Oui. This I shall do within the next half hour. Then no one will ever know that the masked man and Georges Carré are one and the same.
Well, it looks as if Clark Kent is right when he says that Georges Carré is the masked man, the traitor who betrays his country, and who at this moment is on his way to eliminate Lois Lane. There are thrills and excitement in tomorrow's suspenseful episode, fellows and girls, so be sure to listen. Tune in, same time, same station, for Chapter 10 of The Mystery of the Letter on The Adventures of Superman.
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC Comics magazine and is brought to you Monday through Friday at this same time. Watch for the Superman Adventure serial, soon to be shown at your local movie theater. This program came from New York. Stay tuned to your mutual station for Adventure Parade, which follows in just a moment. And right after Adventure Parade, you will hear Tom Mix and his straight shooters. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Yes, it's Superman, strange visitor from the planet Krypton, who came to Earth with amazing physical powers far beyond those of mortal men, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, wages a never-ending battle for truth and justice. Today, while Superman searches for him, the masked man with Jacques, his trigger man, are speeding toward a hideout where Lois Lane is imprisoned.
Slow down, Jacques. We approach the turn.
Oui, monsieur.
Ah, there is the cottage. Now, in a few moments, Mademoiselle Lois Lane will join her sister in the next world. And then no one will ever know that Carré and the masked man are one and the same.
The other day, gang, a young fellow I know was saying goodbye to me. So long, he said, don't take any wooden nickels. And I came right back at him, real snappy-like. I laughed and said, so long, pal, don't buy the Brooklyn Bridge. Well, these are just gag lines, of course, gang. But it shouldn't surprise you to find some sharpie trying to make a crooked dollar peddling them. And gold bricks, too, because you never know what some dopes will fall for. Why, just think of the phony ideas that get peddled around in broad daylight every day in the week. You know what I mean. That cheap empty talk that's all puffed up to look like million-dollar items. The good old surefire nonsense about one man's ancestry making him better than the next guy. Baloney. Yes, sir, it's strictly baloney, sliced 3 inches thick, no matter how you look at it. Well, gang, anybody who buys that stuff does so at his own risk. You know why? Because it's stolen. Yes, sir, it's stolen property. It doesn't belong to the sharpie who peddles it. He got it from dangerous crackpots with crooked ideas that lead to hatred, and so to wars and other horrible catastrophes. Besides, it's rotten, polluted, and unhealthy. So let the troublemakers peddle these ideas somewhere else. Let's tell them in no uncertain terms that although we may have a few suckers in our midst, most of us know better than to buy hatred, even if it comes all wrapped up in fancy packages. Because hatred and true democracy don't mix. They're at opposite poles. And here in the good old USA, we're for democracy, the kind that gives everyone an even break. We like it that way. Let's keep it that way.
And now, the adventures of Superman. Just before a French Secret Service agent was assassinated in Paris, he gave a letter to Diana Lane, sister of Lois Lane, the Daily Planet reporter. The letter, written in French, which Diana could not read, revealed the operations and name of a spy who, to preserve his secret, abducted both Diana and her sister Lois, who had just arrived in Paris. Diana managed to escape from the spy, and from her meager description of him, Clark Kent, who we know as Superman, narrowed the field of suspects to 3 men, all highly placed in the French government. 2 of them were then eliminated, leaving only Georges Carré, a cabinet minister, who Kent reluctantly believes is the masked traitor. Now, as the man known as Carré is on his way to a hideout beyond Paris, where he has Lois Lane imprisoned, Kent, with Colonel Charlot of the Secret Service and Captain Dulac of the Paris police, are waiting in the anteroom of Carré's office. Listen.
Oh, I don't like this waiting. Where is Carré?
The secretary said he would return very shortly, Monsieur Kent.
We must be patient.
But we've been here almost half an hour.
I know,
I say again, we waste our time, mes amis. Georges Carré cannot be the traitor.
I agree with you, Captain Dulac.
Well, I don't. I'm practically sure he's the masked man and knows where Lois Lane is. And if only he'd get here so I could get my hands on him.
Monsieur, please.
Look, Captain, I'm going to give Carré only another few minutes to show up and prove himself one way or the other. If he isn't here then, I'm taking matters into my own hands.
Well, gentlemen, we've waited almost an hour for Carré. I'm not waiting any longer.
What do you propose to do, Monsieur Kent?
I'm going to prove right here and now, Colonel, whether or not Georges Carré is the masked man.
How can you do it without Carré?
There must be plenty of his fingerprints here in his private office. Let's check them.
Wait, monsieur. Georges Carré is a prominent cabinet minister.
So?
We cannot, how you say, snoop in his private office as if he were a common criminal.
Look, Captain Dulac, if, as you insist, Carré is innocent, I'm sure he wouldn't object to a test.
That may be true,
Monsieur
but...
Kent is right, Captain. In a matter so grave as this, any honorable man would urge the test. I consider Georges Carré a man of honor.
Then that's settled. There ought to be some fine fingerprints on the glass top of Carré's desk. Let's go to work. Well, Captain Dulac, what's the verdict?
Un moment, Monsieur Kent. While I compare the fingerprints from the desk with those we found at the house of the masked man. Sacre nom!
What is it, Captain?
They're the same, eh?
Oui. I cannot believe it.
I knew it.
Let
Now
me
will
see,
you believe?
Captain.
Oui, Colonel. Here, see for yourself. There is no question that both sets of prints were made by the same man.
Where's Carré's secretary? You, monsieur. Come in here, please.
I cannot believe it. Georges Carré, a traitor.
There must be some mistake. There must be.
You wish to see me, monsieur?
Yes. Where did Monsieur Carré go?
I do not know. You received a phone call and left at once, saying he would return shortly.
You know who called him?
Oh, I do not.
He may have gone to his home. Let me try to...
No, Captain. I called his home only a moment ago.
Sacre bleu. Do you think perhaps he discovered we were on his track and fled?
Eh?
Just a minute.
I will begin an immediate search for the traitor.
Now, wait.
Traitor? What is this you say, Monsieur Carré?
Just a minute, please. Your boss, Carré, may have mentioned some name or place when he left. If he did, you must tell us. A girl's life is at stake.
We and the fate of all France may be at stake.
Maman, I recall that Monsieur Carré was very angry when he left. He said something of Le Bel Jacques.
Jacques, who is he?
His chauffeur.
Jacques is also the name of the masked man's henchman.
That is so.
What did he say about him?
I could not hear clearly, only that he was furious with Jacques for some reason. He rushed out, waving a paper in his hand.
Oh, what paper?
From the pad on his desk. Always when Monsieur Carré speaks on the telephone, he makes notes on the pad.
Just a minute. Is this the pad?
It is.
Let me see it, Monsieur Kent.
Just a minute, Colonel.
Have a care how you handle it. There may be indentations of the pen or pencil on the page.
Yes, there are.
They are too faint to be made out with the eye alone, but at the laboratory...
We don't need the laboratory. I can read them.
Impossible, monsieur. I can barely see anything.
Well, I have rather unusual eyes, Colonel. Carré wrote Lieutenant Michel, Police Barracks, Versailles.
Versailles, that is just outside of Paris.
I know where it is.
Well, let us drive to Versailles at once, and there... Come, Monsieur Kent.
Don't bother. I know a much faster way to get to Versailles, Colonel. Au revoir. Out of these clothes. This is a job for Superman. There we are. All set. Now to pick up Carré or his trail in Versailles. Up, up, and away! Are you sure Carré has left, Lieutenant?
Oui, Monsieur Superman. He left as soon as he arranged for the release of his chauffeur. That was about an hour ago.
Did he start back toward Paris?
No. He drove in the opposite direction, away from Paris.
Oh? One thing more. What kind of car was he driving?
A blue Mercedes.
Oh, that won't be hard to spot. Thanks, Lieutenant. And au revoir. Up, up, and away!
Leaping high into the air as the French police officer gapes in wonder, Superman streaks away on the trail of the masked spy. Will he find him, and in time to save Lois Lane's life? We'll be back in a moment for the tense climax of today's episode, so keep listening.
Gang, if you're interested, well, even if you're not interested, let me tell you how to hunt a moose in the Canadian backwoods. Well, first, of course, you'd need a gun. Then you have to attract the moose. Bring him into range. Well, that's where your guide comes in. He has a special moose horn, or maybe he's a good mimic. Anyhow, he makes the doggonedest sound you ever heard. That sound is a fake moose call. And the moose you're hunting thinks it's a pal, so he comes trotting over to say howdy doody. Then, bang, bang, if your aim is good, you can hang those antlers over your mantelpiece. Well, gang, before you laugh and call that moose a sucker, just consider how many human beings fall for similar fake noises. Guys who bellow a lot of insults against persons whose race or religion happens to be different from their own, and who trumpet slogans about how certain groups are superior to anybody else. Now, these blowhards may not be so bright, maybe, but by golly, you can't say they're not loud. And what happens? You guessed it. A lot of dopes come trotting around to listen. What's more, these fake slogans sound like the real McCoy to them. Believe it or not, they don't realize that what they're listening to is a phony device like the moose horn, invented on purpose to attract their attention. Makes you wonder how stupid can a guy be, doesn't it? Well, just let you and I remember this, boys and girls. For the windbags who aim to tear down this country, it's an all-year open hunting season. They're always on the lookout for game, but when we play smart, we spoil both their aim and their game. So let's by all means play it smart. Let's not be fooled by phony moose calls into walking up to the muzzle of a loaded gun. And let's do what we can to help others avoid the same trap.
And now, back to the adventures of Superman. Learning that Carré and Jacques, his chauffeur, had left the police station of Versailles and headed south away from Paris, Superman took to the air in search of them. Streaking high above the French countryside, the Man of Steel scans the roads and lanes and byways beneath him.
No sign of Carré yet. I'll find him, though. I must. Away!
Meanwhile, on a large, partly wooded country estate far off the main road, Carré and Jacques have left their car and are walking through a grove of trees. Ahead of them is a low, shingled gardener's cottage. A heavy bolt is drawn across the closed door, and its two small windows are shuttered fast. As they approach the house, Carré speaks.
I will complete the test quickly, Jacques. Then you will drive me back to Paris. Already some suspicious ones may be wondering where I am.
I cannot believe there are any who are suspicious of you, monsieur. You have played your role admirably well.
Merci, madame. But the Secret Service agent Larue learned the truth. Do not forget that.
Oui, but he is not dead. So are those to whom the Mademoiselle Diana Lane showed his letter. So also is the Mademoiselle Diana herself. Now, when her sister, Mademoiselle Lois, is also gone, there will be none left to fear.
Oui. Then and only then will I be able to sleep again.
And complete our work, monsieur?
Ah, oui. When this matter is out of the way, the government will fall into our control as I've planned it.
Yeah.
Ah, here we are. Where is Edward?
I do not know. Ah, here he comes from that clump of bushes. Put down your gun, old one. Can you not see who we are?
Get. Fou! Were you asleep there in the bushes?
Monsieur, I kept guard there while I could not be seen.
Ah. The, Mademoiselle Lois Lane,
She's tied up there in the cottage, monsieur.
Oui, I can see her through the shutter.
Eh bien. Let us get it over with at once. And bolt the door, Edward.
Oui, monsieur.
Monsieur, do you wish me
No,
to...
Jacques. I will attend to the mademoiselle myself. Give me my gun. Oui, merci. Don't. Wait here. I will return in a moment.
Gun in hand, the spy known as Georges Carré steps into the little gardener's cottage where Lois Lane, bound hand and foot, recognizes the masked man and gasps. Meanwhile, Superman, searching the countryside for Lois and Carré, has not yet discovered the estate and the tiny gardener's cottage. What will happen? Is this the end of Lois? There are thrills and a sharp surprise in Monday's climactic episode, fellows and girls. So be sure to listen. Tune in, same time, same station, for the exciting climax to The Mystery of the Letter on The Adventures of Superman.
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC Comics magazine and is brought to you Monday through Friday at the same time. Watch for the Superman Adventure serial soon to be shown at your local movie theater. This program came from New York. Stay tuned to your mutual station for Adventure Parade, which follows in just a moment. And right after Adventure Parade, you will hear Tom Mix and his Straight Shooters. This is a Mutual Broadcasting System.
Brock, B-R-A-C-H-S, Brock,
Chocolate Mint Candy Bar presents The Adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Yes, it's Superman, strange visitor from the planet Krypton, who came to Earth with amazing physical powers far beyond those of mortal men, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, wages a never-ending battle for truth and justice. Today, while Superman searches the surrounding countryside for Georges Carré, the French traitor who was holding Lois Lane prisoner, Carré, gun in hand, faces the girl reporter in a cottage hidden in the woods.
Believe me, mademoiselle, this distresses me greatly. But there is no other alternative.
What do you mean?
While you live, you are a threat to my career and to my very life. So I must get rid of you.
Oh, no, wait. Listen to me.
I regret there is no time. Au revoir, mademoiselle. This is the end for you.
Say, gang, did you know that at candy counters everywhere, more fellows and girls ask for Brock's Mint Candy Bar than any other chocolate mint in the world? Yes, that's a fact. And once you've tried Brock's Chocolate Mint Candy Bar yourself, you'll know why this delicious treat is number one in the candy hit parade. Next time you stop at a candy counter, reach for Brock's Chocolate Mint Candy Bar in the famous green wrapper. Peel off that wrapper and take a big bite of that creamy snow white mint candy. So cool and smooth, all wrapped up in a double-thick coating of Brock's famous bittersweet chocolate. Wow, that's good. And listen, gang, Brock's Chocolate Mint Candy Bar is actually 2 candy bars in one. Yes, it's a twin candy bar, 2 big pieces of that wonderful Brock's Chocolate Mint candy. A double treat, so good to eat. Remember that name, Brock's, B-R-A-C-H-S. Brock's Chocolate Mint Candy Bar in the famous green wrapper. Creamy, swell-tasting mint candy with a delicious double-thick chocolate coating. Now, later on in the show, we'll tell you about the great new Superman Radio Quizmaster game the Brock Candy people are about to send to all Superman fans. And we'll also tell you about Brock's big Superman treasure chest, full of valuable prizes anyone can win. Be sure you're listening, because it's going to be one of the swellest offers ever made, and you won't want to miss the chance to get in on it.
And now, the adventures of Superman. In Paris, where she was appearing as a dancer, Diana Lane, sister of Lois Lane, the Daily Planet girl reporter, accidentally became involved with a French spy. Believing Diana knew his identity, the spy abducted her, and when Lois arrived in Paris, she too was taken prisoner. Diana managed to escape under gunfire, and the spy, who believed he had shot the dancer, then had her sister Lois transported to a cottage on a country estate where he planned to eliminate her, too. Meanwhile, streaking to Paris to aid the 2 sisters, Superman, in his guise of reporter Clark Kent, astounded the police by stating his belief that the spy was a famous cabinet minister named Carré. But when Kent and the police reached Carré's office, their man had already departed to finish Lois. Kent managed to pick up his trail and took after him as Superman. And as we continue now, having searched all the main roads south of Paris from the skies, the Man of Steel has dropped to earth in a small village at a crossroads where he is questioning a surprised peasant woman.
I'm looking for a big blue Mercedes-Benz sedan, madame. Did you see it pass through this village within the last hour or so?
Oh, oui, monsieur. I saw it. 2 men were in it.
That's right. How long ago did you see it? Which way?
Perhaps half an hour ago.
Which way did it go?
That way.
Southwest. A million thanks, madame. Up, up, and away!
Once more taking to the airways, Superman streaks away on the trail of the spy who, at this moment, gun in hand, stands before Lois Lane in a tiny gardener's cottage on a large country estate.
I am sure, Mademoiselle Lane, you understand why I must do away with you.
No.
Naturally,
No.
since you know the truth about me, you are a great danger to my career, to my very life. And so...
Now, wait. Listen
I
to me.
regret there is no time. I must return to Paris before I am missed. So now...
No, don't shoot,
Au
please
revoir,
don't.
mademoiselle.
No.
What?
Superman.
I'll take that gun, Carey.
Superman.
Who are you? Carey, give me that.
No, I will kill you both.
Oh, no, you're all through killing people, my friend, and so are your playmates. Now, you'd better behave. Maybe I'd better relax you like this.
Atta boy, Superman.
That'll hold him for a while. Now, are you all right, Miss Lane?
Yes, but... Oh, Superman, if you hadn't arrived just when you did,
I know, but it's all over now, so forget
Well, it isn't all over. This man shot my sister, Diana, and killed her.
No, he didn't. Diana's fine.
What?
She's alive and well and is in Paris now, waiting for you.
Oh,
and
heaven.
you've got a terrific story for your paper because Carey is a spy and a traitor.
A spy?
That's right. The letter Diana had revealed his name and operations, and that's why you and she were abducted.
Good heavens. What a story for the Daily Planet. Please, Superman, take me to a cable office or to a telephone right away.
Well, a scoop, eh?
And how? I'll scoop every paper in the United States. Wait till Clark Kent hears about this. Will he turn green with envy?
I'm sure he'll be surprised.
You can say that again.
I'm sure he'll be... Oh, I see what you mean. Well, I'll pick up Carey and his two friends. I took care of them on the way in. We'll hop back to Paris, and then you can phone Metropolis from police headquarters.
What?
Wait a minute.
What is it?
Thought the main house on this estate up there on the hill was deserted, but... Great Scott, this will explain everything.
What do you mean? What do you see in that house?
I'll show you in a moment, Miss Lane. Let's lock Carey and his two muscle men in the cottage here, and then you and I will have a look at that house. But I warn you, get ready for a shock. Here, this cellar room is the one we want, Miss Lane. Wait, I'll open the door.
What's down here, Superman?
You'll see for yourself in a moment. Now, here's the light switch. Now, look.
Good heavens. A man bound and gagged.
Take a good look at him while I remove his rope.
Why, he looks just like Georges Carey.
I am Georges Carey, mademoiselle.
What?
Oui,
Superman, did you hear that? He said he is Georges Carey. But he can't be.
That's right. Can't you guess the answer now?
Well, no,
This man is the real Georges Carey. The other chap who looks just like him and has been posing as him is either a wonderfully clever imposter or...
he is my twin brother.
Twin brother?
He was always a rascal. I was led to believe he was dead. He turned up 6 months ago with two other men. Imprisoned me here in my own cellar.
Good grief.
Please, telephone at once to Colonel Shadow of the Secret Service. Tell him my brother is a spy for an enemy country. He's been posing as me, obtaining valuable military information which he has been conveying to the enemy.
Oh, brother, what
you
a
can
story.
Stop worrying now, monsieur.
Villain, how he taunted me. He planned when France fell to have me branded as a traitor. Always he hated me. Please, monsieur, mademoiselle, contact Colonel Shallow at once.
We're all going to see Colonel Shallow now, Mr. Carey. And we'll turn your brother over to him. So relax. Everything is under control at last.
Messieurs, permit me to offer a toast to the great one who saved La Belle France. He was known as Superman.
Oh, Clark, isn't it a shame that Superman couldn't stay here for his own party?
Oh, who said he couldn't stay?
Well, he did. He said he had things to do. And
Oh?
now, Clark Kent, what are you laughing at?
Oh, skip it, Lois. Say, by the way, where's Diana?
Well, she's off in Madrid with Raymond, her dancing partner. They made up all their differences.
Oh, good. Did you cable your story to the Daily Planet?
Oh, boy, did I. You don't think I'd forget that, do you? Clark, do you realize I scooped every newspaper in the whole United States?
And I don't even rate half your byline, huh?
Why should you get half my byline?
Oh, I don't know.
Now, Clark, you're acting awfully strangely.
Hmm?
You couldn't be, maybe a little jealous, maybe?
Oh, silly, Lois. But I am a little worried.
Worried about what?
Well, you probably laugh at me, but I don't know. I just have a feeling that something's wrong back home.
What do you mean?
Oh, call it a hunch if you like, but the past hour or so, I've had a distinct feeling that something is wrong in Metropolis. Very wrong.
You're right, Clark Kent. Something is very wrong back home. We'll be back in a moment to find out more about it, fellows and girls. So keep listening.
The big day is coming soon, gang. The day when the Brock Candy people, sponsors of Superman, will begin offering the swell new Superman Radio Quizmaster game to all you fellows and girls. Brock's, you know, are the people who make that delicious Brock's Chocolate Mint Candy Bar. The candy bar that's enjoyed by more people than any chocolate mint in the world. The Superman Radio Quizmaster game is an exciting, brand new idea. Nothing like it has ever been offered before on any radio program. With the Superman Radio Quizmaster game, you can be the master of ceremonies of a real quiz show right in your own home. The Superman Radio Quizmaster game has everything you need to put on a regular, big-time quiz show, including questions and answers, amusing stunts, and a realistic model microphone you can set up right on the table whenever it's time to go on the air. And that's not all. With your Superman Radio Quizmaster game, you'll also get the official entry blank you'll need to enter Brock's Big Superman Treasure Chest contest, with hundreds of valuable prizes, including bicycles, radios, cowboy boots, roller skates, footballs, and many more. So keep listening to Superman every day, and keep your pencil handy, because pretty soon we're going to tell you how you can get that swell Superman Radio Quizmaster game and that official entry blank for Brock's Big Superman Treasure Chest contest. And at your favorite candy counter, keep reaching for Brock's Chocolate Mint Candy Bar. It's delicious.
And now, back to the adventures of Superman.
It is just after 6 o'clock in the evening in Metropolis. The editorial staff of the Daily Planet have departed for their homes, and Beanie Martin, chief copy boy, is about to follow them when the phone rings in Clark Kent's empty office. Eager to get home, Beanie hesitates. Then, as the phone continues to ring insistently, he shrugs resignedly and enters Kent's office.
Hello?
This is Jim Olson. Is Mr. Kent there?
Oh, hello, Jim. This is Beanie. You having a good vacation?
I haven't got time to talk now, Beanie. Put Mr. Kent on the phone, please, and hurry up.
Well, he ain't here. I mean, he
Where is he, do you know?
Yeah, he's in Paris.
Paris? You mean Paris, France?
Uh-huh. You see,
Oh, golly. What about Miss Lane? Is she there?
Uh-huh. She's in Paris, too.
Oh,
And,
no.
oh, boy, did she get a terrific story. All about
Never
a spy.
mind, Beanie. Is Mr. White around there?
No, he had to go.
Oh, gosh, what'll I do?
What do you mean? What's cooking, Jim?
Plenty. Look at Beanie. You've got to get hold of Mr. White right away.
Why? What's going on, Jim?
Please, Beanie. Stop interrupting and listen.
Uh-huh.
Get hold of Mr. White right away. Right now, see? Tell him I'm in trouble.
You're in trouble?
Will you stop interrupting me?
Well, okay, but...
Tell Mr. White to phone me immediately at this number. Have you got a pencil?
Just a minute. Okay, go ahead, Jim.
178J, Leestown, Missouri.
Oh, shucks.
What's the matter?
I broke the point on the pencil.
Oh, of all the time.
I think I got it, though. 178K.
Oh, no, J, not K. J, as in Jersey. You got it?
Uh-huh. 178J.
That's right. Leestown, Missouri. Now get hold of Mr. White and tell him to call me right away, Beanie. Tell him it's a matter of life and death.
Galvanized into action, Beanie Martin replaces the phone. Then, his brow furrowed with worry, he begins his attempt to reach Perry White, editor of the Daily Planet and mayor of Metropolis. What grave trouble is cub reporter Jimmy Olsen in? And what did he mean when he said it was a matter of life and death? Tomorrow we begin a brand new and exciting Superman adventure story, fellows and girls. One that will try the Man of Steel's great powers to the limit, and which will keep you on the edges of your chairs from beginning to end. So be sure to tune in again tomorrow. Same time, same station, for Chapter 1 of The Mystery of the Silver Buffalo on The Adventures of Superman.
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman's EC Comics magazine and is brought to you Monday through Friday at this same time. Watch for the Superman Adventure serial, soon to be shown at your local movie theater. Listen tomorrow, same time, same station, for Chapter 1 of The Mystery of the Silver Buffalo on The Adventures of Superman. Brought to you by Brock's famous chocolate mint candy bar. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.